What is good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Big Boy Talk. I know. I'm starting a little late. There's a reason for that. Okay. My co-host, who should be joining me soon, was not able to make the 8 o'clock time. So I was like, let's move it on back. Let's move it on back. Now I couldn't afford to move it back any further, so hopefully he gets here on time. Now, there's a couple things we got to talk about here. Number one, um, I don't know if anybody's heard, but former NBA center Glenn Big Baby Davis is actually facing charges for a fraud scheme where he was facing up to 20 years. I believe he was sentenced, though, to only 40 months in prison and 2 years probation after that. So, these guys, man, it seems like if trouble doesn't get you when you're in the league, it gets you after you're out, right? It says the guy that was running the scheme was actually just sentenced last August to 10 years for the same thing. So, so yeah, being famous, man, it gets you somewhere, right? Former NBA player, former NFL player, musician, whatever it is, it gets you something. I just wanted to point that out because that's when you look at the one guy getting 10 years, then you look at the other one getting 40 months. I mean, even though he had to pay back, says he had to pay back $80,000 in restitution. It's just one of those things, man. There's much better things these guys could be doing with their life, especially after sports. And yet, and still, this is where they are. It's sad to think about. I mean, obviously, it's better than some of the stuff we get from these guys, where they're, you know, doing drugs or hitting runs, different things. But again, athletes just making bad decisions. And he's not the only one, as reports also came up that Chiefs wide receiver, Rashee Rice, punched a cameraman or a photographer in the face. And apparently, the photographer had left the scene, and Rashee Rice called him on his phone to come back. The guy came back thinking Rashee Rice wanted him to take pictures of him. And no, Rashee Rice punched this man in the face. Now, I'm gonna leave it up to the people. Y'all leave it in the comments if you're watching after. Um, do y'all think this earns a suspension? I think it does. It is assault. I mean, the man's probably gonna be going for a year now. You got the case of the hit and run, and now he's punching guys in the face. This has just been a terrible offseason for Rashee Rice, and he's constantly finding himself in the news. And this is something that no NFL team tends to tolerate, really. I mean, not this level of ignorance, so to speak. It's just bad decisions. Guy had a great year, won a Super Bowl. You would think he would go, you know what? I'm on top of the world, man. Let me put 10 toes down and get used to this wave of success. Instead, you go out there, you do dumb things, you make mistakes, and it just happens. I don't know what these guys. I don't know who's around these guys or who makes them feel, like they need to make these mistakes, but they tend to do it, and it's got to get better, right? You got to get better. These guys hopefully will get it together, and we'll see better choices made from a lot of these young guys later on in their careers. Now, before we move forward, I do have a special guest here. TDSQ, what's good, sir?
What's going on, sir? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good, man. I was just going over with the people that Rashee Rice. I don't know if you heard it. Rashee Rice punched a photographer.
I've been following the story, man. It's unfortunate, dude. It's one of those things to where, I don't know. Some people, some people are blessed with talent, and some people want to be somewhere, and some people are there because they're just great at what they do. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate, the thing we have to learn as young men, especially as young black men, is that nobody owes you anything, and nobody's gonna cut you any slack. You know what I'm saying? And so decisions that you make, it's unfair that decisions that you make at a young age can affect you for the rest of your life. That's one of the things I try to impress on young people all the time when I speak with them, and I'm fortunate that I've done some things that I've never been caught doing, and fortunately for me, I've been able to get to where I am in life. But it's one of those things where the saying that youth is wasted on the young. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? And so it's especially with the NFL where guys they're drafting what, it's 30 guys drafted in each round, 7 rounds. So you got at
yeah,
least what 210 to 250 guys coming in for a job, and that's just guys that's drafted. And
yeah.
so no matter how good you are, especially as a young player, unless you elite, oh, you're replaceable. And you're gonna learn the hard way, man. They drafted another receiver. Didn't they draft another receiver in the first round? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they did. Xavier Worthy.
And they brought in Hollywood too.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah. So I mean,
If I'm not mistaken, they drafted another guy late in the draft too.
Yep. And they I think Zay Jones decided to sign with Arizona because
Yeah,
he's trying to get more opportunities, because whether fans understand it or not, winning is important, but making money to feed your family is the most important. Football is a job, and
yes, indeed.
when it comes with the ring, I mean the money comes with the ring. That's cool, but you're not gonna be able to eat that ring 5 years from now when you're not in the league no more. So you better make as much money as you
Yeah,
can.
tell me about it. He's gonna end up pawning that ring.
Yeah, man.
Get
But
some extra cash.
it's unfortunate because he's not on the same level. But Josh Gordon, a person with all the talent in the world, and had kids. And granted, he ended up in the NFL over bad circumstances in the supplemental draft because he got kicked off the Baylor football team. But probably could have went down as probably maybe a top 15 receiver all time. He basically was Julio with better hands and faster. Essentially, is what Josh
Yeah,
Gordon was.
yeah. That
He's
dude
so
had
happy to him.
immense talent.
Hmm. Yeah, but it's
Immense talent.
unfortunate, man. It's just I wish that that some of these guys will understand that they're not, that you're not untouchable, and that this opportunity is not forever, and NFL is not for long. And Rashee Rice wasn't even the first round pick, was he? So his contract's not even guaranteed. So
Exactly.
yeah, if he gets cut or suspended after this year, and then you get suspended for a long period of time, and then Xavier Worthy comes in the balls, and Hollywood plays well, there may not be a role for him. He may not get a second contract.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, like you said, because he came in. You have your rookie year. You end up in a perfect landing spot with Patrick Mahomes,
Mm-hmm.
and
And he
this
took
team.
advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly. Took perfect advantage of it.
Kyle Moore didn't.
Yeah, and got to the Super Bowl, won a championship in your rookie
Mm-hmm.
year.
Made
It
great
was a
plays in
key
the
reason
playoffs.
for it.
They wouldn't have won it without him.
Exactly. And this is what your off season looks like: a hit and run, and then you're punching a photographer.
I don't understand. It's not like the NBA, man, where I mean, like, you can get in trouble in the NBA and there's time for you to come back, even there's a lot of guys who wasted opportunity. But the NFL, like, they're not trying to play guys anyway. So
Yeah,
they're always looking for your replacement, and blame the players beforehand that signed that deal, that gave them the rookie wage scale, to where it's always cheaper, younger guys coming in. They don't care if they will take somebody that gets 80% less production if they can pay them less than paying you, unless you're a difference maker.
yeah. And it's always going to be that way, right? Because in the NFL, like you said, they're not looking to spend that money.
Mm-mm.
Those owners, NFL owners, are so cheap compared to the other leagues. They're like, hey, if we go with these young dudes that we ain't got to pay nothing, if we could pay him $350,000 a year compared to paying you $2.5 million, then guess where we're going?
I wouldn't even say the NFL owners are cheap, man. The NFL owners are very, very there. People think that the salary cap and all this stuff exists for winning. It doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these teams, granted, their cap number may be to the cap, but they're not spending to the cap. And so it's one of those things that they're trying to maintain the system. And we saw what they did with Lamar, because you had a owner in the Haslams who weren't a part of the old NFL guard. They were really trying to win. And
Yeah.
Arthur Blank was trying to win too, because he was trying to get Deshaun Watson, but he wasn't willing to go fully. Well, he didn't get the opportunity to go fully guaranteed. And that's why when Lamar came up last year, the league colluded against him, because if Lamar would have got a fully guaranteed contract, then everybody was going to get one afterwards. And we saw that. We saw that teams didn't go after him. And teams the narrative is like, oh, Lamar wouldn't have signed. He didn't want to leave. Nobody gave him an offer.
Exactly.
And the thing is, too, is you could have said, oh, well, we didn't want to do the Ravens bit. What you could have did was you could have contacted him and saw what his number was and gave the Ravens an offer like, look, we're going to give you this to trade for this quarterback. If he's agreed to this contract, get whatever this contract is, or you get them to agree to a trade so that way you can negotiate a contract. Mm-hmm. And the Falcons did not have a quarterback last year. Lamar's on the Falcons there. Lamar's on the Falcons there in the Super Bowl. I believe that.
There's a few teams out there. If Lamar's there, they're either in the playoff hunt or in the Super. I till this day, I think I said it to Ghost, which welcome in, sir. Thank you for joining. I said it to him last year. I said, if Lamar goes to the Commanders, they're winning the Super Bowl because they had Scary Terry. They had the running backs. They had the weapons, and they had a good young defense. I said, if he goes there, they're winning the Super Bowl.
Right. And I didn't mean to sidetrack it to go into where Lamar goes. I was just using that as an example of the NFL of trying to maintain this system. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Falcons overpaid for Kirk Cousins, because they got criticized for not going after Lamar last year. And so you give it, and that's the game that they played. You rather give an injured 36-year-old quarterback $100 million guaranteed rather than actually going after somebody that can actually improve your franchise, because these teams aren't really trying to win a Super Bowl. And I'm not a Ravens fan. I like Lamar. Truth be told, your Ravens ain't trying to win the Super Bowl really either. They're hoping to be competitive, and maybe they can get close enough and they can win it. But are they actually trying to spend the money to go to the top to win it? No, they're not. They're just trying to stay competitive.
That's a conversation we have.
Stay relevant. But I don't want to get on. So that's a conversation. I'm just using that as the example of how this NFL it really works, and it's crazy that the fans defend the system and defend the league, and they'll defend every move that their team makes to defend the league, because most fans don't want to see guys making no real money anyway.
Yeah.
They think it's
no, you're right. You're right. They complain about, a lot of fans complain about they want this guy, they want this guy, they want that guy, but they don't want that guy to get paid. Right? We want him if we could get him for cheap. Why are you like that? You're not paying him out of pocket.
Right. And I hate that term value. When they're talking about maybe we could get this guy for cheap, but then he performs like a $25 million player. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. If the guy's good enough to play, you pay him.
Yeah.
Salary cap is $250 million.
Yeah, 250.
So if you're paying, even if you're paying the quarterback $50 million, that's still $175 million to spread over another 53 million, 52 players.
And it's going up every year.
Exactly.
It's not like it's gonna. You got to worry about it dropping. It's gonna go up again next year.
Right. But
they showed it. They predicted a couple years out it might end up a little over 300,000. I mean, 300 million.
Right, but you know they should have already been over 300 million. You know, they played this game with the COVID, said they lost money, and then you notice that they announced the salary cap, and then they announced the new deal they got with Amazon. But somehow that didn't affect the salary cap going up. But fans with the advent of fantasy football, most fans think that they're like the team, and they want to think, how would I, if I were a general manager, how would I put the team together? Or is this person worth this money? Is this person worth that money? It's the same game, man. But I love football, man. It's the avenue that we have to watch it by. So yeah, I'll enjoy it. I'm not into it. I know the game, but I'm not into it like die hard like I used to be. Because I just don't want to get that emotionally tied into something I have no control over. But do I enjoy watching it? Yes. Do I follow it? Yes. Do I live and die by it? No. I'm a Buccaneers fan. I'm from Tampa. So I've been a Bucks fan all my life. I'm used to my team losing. losing. We were the
As an
Clippers
Orioles
before
fan,
the
we've been
Clippers, man.
there.
You know what I'm
As a
saying?
Ravens
So
fan, trust me, we've been there. And the
right.
NBA, when we come to the NBA, I'm an Orlando Magic fan, so I've definitely been there.
Yeah, I was yeah, said, but I'm a '80s baby growing up in grew up in the '80s and '90s, so I remember where we weren't good, and I remember when we got Shaq. I remember when we got Penny. We was the capital and
Yep.
the be all of the NBA, and then the fans wrote they wrote to the Orlando paper that Shaq didn't deserve, what was it? I think $14 million a year at the time. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things to where yes, I'm from Tampa. I got some family from Orlando too. But it's one of those things to where they wrote in there that they didn't think Shaq was worth the money. That summer, Shaq joins the Lakers, and we become irrelevant for the next 10, 15 years.
Like
We
20
we
years.
almost came back though, because we could have had we signed Grant Hill and we signed Tracy
We had
McGrady. Tracy
Tracy.
McGrady was the afterthought. Tim Duncan does not sign with the Magic, because I don't know if people know this, because Doc Rivers told Tim
Yep.
Duncan, his girlfriend at the time, could not fly in the private plane. So you tell me one of the top 10 players of all time you could have had in your franchise, all those championships could have been in Orlando, because nobody knew how good Tracy McGrady is. Imagine the prime Tracy McGrady with Tim Duncan in his prime. How many rings is that?
They would have had tons of championships.
Right,
They had a
though.
second go at it. They had a second chance. And this one was on T-Mac. T-Mac didn't want to play with Dwight Howard.
Yeah, because he didn't want to play with another high school kid.
Yeah.
Biggest mistake of his life, because he ended up hurting his back and his knee. And he was never the same player either. I love T-Mac too, man. T-Mac was actually, funny story. So T-Mac is from Auburndale, Florida. T-Mac graduated high school. I graduated in 99. T-Mac graduated in 97. And so my grandmother's family is from Polk County. So not a lot of people that played against T-Mac before he left to go to Mount Zion Academy in North Carolina. A lot of people played against him that I knew played against him. They say he was the best high school player that they ever played against. The coldest cat they ever seen. I believe it, dude. 6'7", 6'8".
I believe it too.
Jump out of
Dude,
gym
nasty.
6'17".
That's my guy,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, man.
That was my guy. I still throw that 13 points in 30 seconds in everybody's face.
Mm-hmm.
When he was with the Rockets and they came back and beat the Spurs.
Right.
Man, listen.
But it was pre-internet days though, man. So just T-Mac probably wouldn't have been so unknown if the internet and social media existed back then. Because I would compare T-Mac and how Zion Williamson was in the small town, because that's kind of how T-Mac was. But you had social media where Zion got the fans and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. T-Mac would have been the same way. T-Mac would have been.
Us Orlando fans is out here deep. Mr. Ghost, you want to give me your thoughts on the Rashee Rice incident?
He's like, I ain't got nothing for him. I mean, they shut down the rookie symposium, so what y'all want to happen?
You said they shut down the rookie symposium?
Yeah, they stopped doing it. They used to invite all the rookies. Now they only invite a certain amount. They're doing it this year, but it's not all the rookies like they used to. It's like maybe like 100 or something like that.
It's the ones we think we got to worry about.
Yeah. Well, that's the league for you, right? Another way to save money. That's all it is.
I mean, the part of me thinks these teams aren't invested in these guys actually being successful.
They're not.
No,
it's like it seems as if it's like, cause they don't really develop guys anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they draft as many guys as possible. And if they can fit in and make it, they can. If they can't, they just we got another draft next year.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Hold on one second. Hold on. First of all, I want to shout out Miss Yolanda. If y'all don't know, Ravens Talk with Yolanda. The channel's taking off. She's doing absolutely phenomenal job with her. Please go like, share, subscribe. Same thing from my boy Jared. Jared 011 Green. You want to talk Southern football, right? The Southern Baller Show. You gotta check out Jared's show. Absolutely fire. And I learned something about HBCU football every time I watch them. I swear I do. Y'all go check them out ASAP. So you got that. And then again, it's these players, whether it's during sports, after sports, Big Baby. Big Baby just I don't get it, man. He was facing up to 20 years in prison.
Got 3.5
for a scheme, but he got sentenced to 40 months and 2 years of probation after the 40 months.
I think it was over like $100 and some $1,000. It wasn't even no real money.
It wasn't even nothing crazy.
Mm-mm.
No, they made him pay back 80,000 of it, but it wasn't nothing crazy. The head guy, the guy that was I guess the main guy behind it, did like 1.2 something million.
It was 5 million in total. I think that they got with all the guys.
And they gave him 10 years last August. So it goes to show the difference, right? One guy's an athlete or was an athlete, has some fame. Hey, you get 40 months. This guy, we're gonna give 10 years though.
It's probably because he was able to pay back some of the money.
Yeah,
that's probably why they end up giving.
Another guy was also probably a repeat offender.
But I don't know if you know this is similar to what happened with Clinton Portis.
Yeah,
in the NFL players, where they were doing something similar, and this is the thing because I don't want to tell the business, but when stuff like this happens, I don't know if you guys are familiar with how government works and the policies and what certain administrations are cracking down on. So it was during a certain time where they were cracking down on healthcare fraud. And that's why they went after these guys. Like after 9/11, it was terrorism. Then I don't know if you know that you remember back in the late 2000s, the early 2010s, they were going after like mega churches and stuff like that. You saw, and then this period now they were going after healthcare fraud. When Trump was in office, they were going after voter fraud. So it's like certain time. So these guys just kind of got caught up in not saying what they did was right and whatever. It was just one of those things that they were emphasizing because if the feds want to find you doing something wrong, 9 times
they're gonna find it.
We all doing something.
They're gonna plan it. You didn't hear that from me though. If they don't find it, they're gonna plan it.
Yeah, man. That's true too. That's true too, man. It's because they want to if an administration is running on a certain thing, and they want to show that their Justice Department is cracking down on it, they're going to get it. And so certain things they emphasize, they'll be their emphasis, and certain things that they won't, they'll kind of let slide. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we all know what they did with the drug war. So that's a different topic for a different day.
Indeed. We might have a show about that. We might have to one day. So let's get into the nitty-gritty, right? What we all been waiting for. X-Men 97. Now you made a statement that I actually agree with it. As far as an animated series goes, this is the best one I've seen.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of great ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
But this is definitely up there with those, especially even with the we know DC is really known for what they do with their animated series.
Yeah, Justice League Unlimited are up there.
Fire, yes.
Mm-hmm. And Avatar: The Last Airbender is another one.
Yes, I have to put this up there with those.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so. Early on, I had the first couple episodes. I had a little bit of a. At first, I was like, "Oh man, it's originally that original nostalgia rush." So I had that, and I was like, "Oh yeah, let's go! It's gonna be crazy." And then I think it was the Jubilee episode, and there was maybe one more early episode where I was kind of like, oh, it's slow, it's all over the place. But that's what X-Men has always done, right? Bounce around the episodes, but then later on in the season, everything ties together. And that's what's going on now. It's all tying together. And now I'm looking at it like, this has got to be some of the best character art storytelling I've seen in an animated series in a long, long time. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, before I give you my thoughts, are you familiar with the I know you watched the original series, right? You saw every episode of the original
Yes.
series. Are you familiar with the X-Men lore and all that stuff? Like
Yep.
how it started, the original series, Giant Size X-Men when they added all the new characters in, Phoenix, Dark Phoenix, all that stuff. Okay,
Yep.
cool. So for me, like I said, I'm familiar with the I used to collect the comic books. I'm not saying I read every issue of the X-Men, but when they had the Marvel trading cards and all that stuff, the video games playing, all that stuff, Spider-Man, X-Men, those are the things that I love. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very, very familiar. I remember when the first run of the first series started, and then for whatever reason, the episodes were delayed, and they played the first two episodes over and over and over and over again. So I had to put that out there. But as far as this is concerned, I think it's honestly, from what I've seen, I'm not a prisoner at the moment, because I go back and I period from time to time watch the original series. It's better than the original series. And one of the reasons why I think that it's better, I think the animation is a lot better than the original series was.
Yeah.
I think they were faithful by bringing back some of the original actors, so it's some continuity. But the thing I like about this series is that one of the things that the movies did not do was, one, this series is extremely faithful to the comic book arcs, and they're not centering Wolverine and Mystique. You get a chance to see all the different characters, like the 92 series. Now, I kind of like how in the beginning of the series they shelved even Professor X, so you got a chance to see Cyclops and how he operates. We got the dedicated. It wasn't a full episode, but we got a chance to see a Storm arc. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people might not be familiar with who Forge is and the type of character that he is. Now, we still don't know where Bishop is. Bishop's kind of disappeared.
He's lost.
We don't know where he is. We'll probably see him come. But I think, and I hate to say this, but it's true. Having a black man be the leader of the leader and the executive producer of this show, and he's also part of the LGBTQ community, however you feel about that as well. But I think that also adds to the element of you feeling what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby wanted people to feel with these characters, them being mutants and being outcasts. Because they even said it, that Professor X was avatar for Martin Luther King, and Magneto was the avatar for Malcolm X, and how they both thought that and I like the way they portrayed it, but I think the writer the producer of this kind of went a little bit further, because it kind of makes it seem like if Professor X is the caveat for Martin Luther King, then that means that Malcolm X is right and Martin was wrong.
Yeah.
Because
as of right now,
Magneto is right. You know what I'm saying? Just like we watched Black Panther, Coogler made it seem like Killmonger was right and the Black Panther, you know how they did things wrong. But no, I enjoyed it. It's a great show. And I like how he gives you kind of homework, because you can kind of go back and look at some of the issues and kind of see where they're going with the show. The pacing is good, the acting is good, the animation is good. And yeah, even I have friends who are kind of casual comic fans, but they like the stuff. They don't read the comics. They enjoy it too, man, and they're riveted by it, to the point to episode 5 they were emotional, and episode 5 wasn't even the big episode. I mean, compared to what's been going on now. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's pretty cool. New villains, not the same people. It's a great show.
Oh man, when we speaking of being emotional, we lost Gib. Man, our real life was sitting there. I shed a real life tear. I was like, not my boy Gib. No way. Yo, I must have sat and watched that episode over and over about 3 or 4 times. And I swear there was not one time where I had a dry eye. Every time he died, I'm like, oh man.
Dog, but it was.
I can feel it watering up now.
It was so dope though, because it's like he went out, but he went out like a G. And I think that this is one of the things they couldn't have done that on Saturday morning,
No.
where he's getting impaled and all that. Even Wolverine, we never seen Wolverine stab a person on the cartoon. It was always he's fighting against machines. When he fought against other people, he wouldn't use his claws because you couldn't show him decapitating or doing that type of thing. That's another reason why I feel like
show
this
blood.
is better. Yeah.
You didn't show blood back then, so you never saw blood.
Mm-hmm. But I'm with you on Jubilee, man. I think Jubilee's character is useless, and I'm not a fan of her in the comics.
I don't get it.
I get why they use her because she's younger. It's just like in the movies they use Rogue as the conduit to the X as your point of view into the team. It's similar to with Jubilee. Jubilee was our introduction to the animated series. We saw it through her lens. So they have, and then plus they're using her because she's the same age as Sunspot, and that's how they feel like they can make sense that Sunspot's in the show.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they gave Jubilee that when they gave her that whole episode. So for me, I understand them using Jubilee, having her around, and kind of giving you that teenage experience. But to give her a whole episode when you didn't give Storm a whole episode.
They split Storm's episode with hers. I didn't like that either.
You didn't give Xavier a whole episode. You didn't give. There's a lot of things like the Madeline Pryor story. We spoke about this off camera, and we could get more into it now. But I felt that deserved 2 episodes, which would have been better than what they did with having Jubilee have a full episode.
Yeah, but the thing with Madeline Pryor, I'm sorry, I didn't want to speak over you, Ghostman. If you had something to say about it, you have. Yeah, okay. The thing with Madeline Pryor, I understand what you and Brodney was saying, man, but it's one of those things to where people don't know who Madeline Pryor is or this whole clone. Like most people do not know these storylines. Like everything that they're doing is straight out of the comic books that were in the 80s and the 90s. But understand during that time, there was no YouTube or no internet. There wasn't even no internet. So there was no message board. So if you didn't get the issues and were like into it like that, most people don't know who Madeline Pryor is. Most people don't know that Jean Grey had a clone. So we have to understand that these stories aren't meant for the mainstream audience and to give people who are fans of it certain nuggets to watch it, but it's not. Most people, I'm telling you, they would have went into a whole clone thing. They wouldn't know what the hell was going on. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so for me, what I think what the writers tried to do was the whole clone thing was to show that Cable is not Jean Grey's actual son. That it's actually the clone son. You know what I'm saying? So it was it's less about Madeline Pryor and more about the dynamic between Cyclops, Cable, and Jean Grey. You understand what I'm saying? And so so the fact that they mentioned it, that it wasn't off camera, I thought was fine. You know what I'm saying? If anything, I thought that they should have gave that whole, because the life death storyline with Storm and Forge, her losing her powers, her getting her powers back, is a longer arc. I would have liked for them to spend maybe if you were going to give her Storm a full episode by herself, because nobody's had a full episode on their own. Maybe let that be a longer story arc to go maybe half the season. But I understand why they didn't do that, because there's no way you can take the only black prominent character on there, because Bishop's already somewhere in time. He's off screen. Take away her powers for the whole season, and think that's not going to fly.
Especially since Gold is one of their favorites.
Exactly.
Ghost, let me get your thoughts on this so far. What are you feeling towards the series so far?
Series is good. Borderline great. Could be excellent, but they're sleeping on my homeboys, so the hell with them.
We know you love Colossus, and we have yet to see Colossus. But somebody that comes in either the last episode or the next season, because DDSQ has said they are done with season.
They're done with season 2. Yeah,
working on season 3.
They were on season 3. Yeah.
So maybe we see Colossus in those seasons. But you got to realize they're at a point where the mansion is torn down. And what's Colossus known for? He's the one that fixes the mansion every time it gets torn down. So you're going to see him soon. even if he's just in the background building a wall.
I feel like it's some political hate because he Russian. They let morph into Colossus, but we can't get the real thing though.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what they're doing with Morph's powers because for him to be able to morph into all those different characters and have their powers. First of all, I don't even remember him from the original comic. I think his character was made for the original series, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and look, but they may have done some retcon on him. But I think that I have to go back and like they have to explain the rule. Like because if he can morph into anybody and take their powers, he'd be the most unstoppable force that there is. Now I know Mystique can morph into other people, but she can't take their powers though. You know what I'm saying?
I think Morse is he can change into anybody, but he can only use the powers that contain like strength. I don't think he can do like if he turns into Cyclops, he can't shoot beams.
But he actually turned into magic and had her blades and turned into Psylocke and used her sonic blades too. So it's like he's morphed into. When you get a chance,
I gotta go back and follow.
Go back. You have to do a watch. I'm gonna do it too when all the episodes go. But go back and do a watch and focus on different characters
powers and abilities,
and just focus on him and see all the different people that he turned into. Watch him. Watch him. He's using. He's not great, not to their level, but he's using them. And I know he was captured by Sinister.
He turned into the Hulk.
Yeah,
he goes morph smash.
Right. And I know he was captured by Sinister in the original series, and his powers were amplified by Apocalypse, if I'm not mistaken. But not to I don't know that they were amplified to that extent. You know what I'm saying? They never explained it.
He can morph into people and he can gain superhuman strength, but he can only like gain some of their abilities. So
I got you.
Like he could turn into Wolverine and get be as strong as Wolverine, but he's not going to heal.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because if you can gain even if you can gain their powers in 5 minutes, just turn to Thanos and kill everybody, or turn to Apocalypse and because Apocalypse is an Omega level mutant, or turn to Storm, or turn to Magneto and do what he does. You know what I'm saying? Even
Gambit used to be.
Well, yeah.
Don't.
We saw that.
Yeah,
we saw that, man.
In the original arc, Mr. Sinister lowered Gambit's powers, so he wasn't Omega.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to hate, man. I don't get the Gambit love, dude. I know they talked about doing a Gambit movie for years, and Channing Tatum was attached to that for like 10, 15 years.
I don't want Channing Tatum playing Gambit. I just want
I don't get it. I mean, I used to use him in a video game, but I just don't. I think to me, I think it's X-Men have been the least mind team out of all IP from comic book movies, because most people just know Wolverine. They know the Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm. There's so many different iterations of the X-Men.
Yeah,
X Factor, New Mutants. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we don't. I don't think we'll ever get. I don't think the X-Men will ever be done justice. Well, not in our lifetime. You know what I'm saying? No, maybe our grandchildren.
They won't. And I actually said a while back on a show that I was on that the X-Men would have killed Thanos in one movie. He wouldn't have lasted. He would have never got to snap a thing if he was dealing with the X-Men, in my mind, because the X-Men I feel like they're OP. They're OP.
They really are. They're the gods of the Marvel universe. The only non-X-Men that probably could give them any problems will be the Hulk, but then I don't even think the Hulk. I have to go back and see what they've done in the comics. But I mean, with Jean Grey and Professor X or any telekinetic mutant would go right into his mind and be like, "Yeah, you're Bruce Banner. You're not even gonna be able to turn to the Hulk."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things to where we've been over the last, when did MCU start? 2008? Is it 2008? 2000? I can't remember. But the X-Men movies were so bad that we don't realize that we think the Avengers are the superheroes.
Yeah, the end all be all.
Nah, bro. It's not even close. Not even close. Spider-Man is the most famous, but he's nowhere near the strongest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nah, nope.
My boy Ghost got a certain feeling about the Hulk and face of Colossus. And Colossus is his guy. And he feels Colossus is he's the most unstoppable mutant or character in Marvel at
First of
all.
all, in
Over
World War
Juggernaut?
Hulk,
Over the Juggernaut?
actually, he took the Juggernaut's gem. The Juggernaut's part. His abilities come from the
Man,
Crimson Gem of
yeah.
Sidorak.
Mm-hmm.
So when Juggernaut got stronger powers, he went to the god of Sidorak and actually got the Juggernaut's powers. So he had his powers plus the Juggernaut's powers.
Yeah.
More often he used the powers, the stronger he became. So he actually ended up beating the brakes off the Juggernaut. But in World War Hulk, at one point, even like he had Hulk down a couple times, but he was trying to calm him down instead of fighting him. But even at one point, Hulk was like, "You're probably the strongest person that I've fought this far. If I wasn't this upset, you would make a good fight."
Mm.
And
Well,
that's literally like the only time that Colossus and the Hulk have actually run into each other.
Yeah, I got you, man. I got you. Don't even get me started on the whole Hulk thing. I'm still mad we got robbed of a Hulk versus Thanos, Hulk versus Thanos rematch. That Thanos was able to take him down like that.
Yeah, Thanos kind of folded Hulk and turned him into a punk.
I don't like what I don't like. That's a different story for a different day, man. But yeah, I'm not too familiar with Colossus's all of Colossus's lore. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm more of a novice. So if you're expert on that, you know more than me, man.
Yeah, he's expert on Colossus, man. He taught me a little something about Colossus. We had a discussion that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like Colossus is his guy.
I got you, man.
I got you. Make him way too difficult. Like you could simplify it. Like so, his skin is made of a mystery metal, and then you got Wolverine guys like, oh, Wolverine could just stab through it.
No, he can't.
No,
he can't. No, that's
he would have to cut his way through piece by piece.
But see, that's the problem with Wolverine being them centering Hugh Jackson in those X-Men movies. Like people don't know how powerful Iceman is. They think he just freezes. He just
Iceman is
Omega level, and you know what I'm saying.
I was heated behind X-Men Days of Future Past because they literally had like the Sentinels like freeze Iceman and literally break him in half. But Iceman's powers are so infinite that if there's a molecule of moisture in the air, he can regenerate his entire body.
Exactly. But that whole movie didn't make sense though. And it's one of those things to where I hate that because I don't that the director of X-Men First Class was a different director. He was gonna go a whole different direction with X-Men. And Bryan Singer had already run his course with that franchise. He makes a pretty good X-Men First Class movie. Was on the road to making a whole new team, and then here comes Bryan Singer again, wanted to combine the old X-Men with the new X-Men, and then they took that thing all the way off the rails. Days of Future Past was an entertaining movie, but you can't do Days of Future Past in one movie. Just like you can't do the Dark Phoenix saga. Well, first of all, you got to do the Phoenix saga before you do the Dark Phoenix saga. You can't do it in one movie. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's like they basically bastardized the X-Men and made it such a bad IP. And I think that's one of the reasons why too that we're loving this X-Men 97. Because what we've seen over the last 20, 25 years of X-Men. One of the richest IPs that was ever created was made to be a joke. And so
the whole X-Men series, like I think in the second one, Colossus is a teenager and he busts through a wall and carries the kids away, and you don't even know who the hell he is. He's
But
like, I can help, and Wolverine's like, take the kids to safety. I didn't even know who it was until I was looking on YouTube. It was like Colossus bust through a wall, and I see dude bust through a wall. I said, that guy was Colossus,
right. But no, but it's
really.
I guess my thing is I understand why they the idea that because Wolverine was a popular character, but I don't even think Wolverine was as popular as he was when they made the original X-Men movie. But the creative decision for them not to use the costumes was stupid. For them to nerf Rogue down to where she has no powers other than she touches people
Was
was
dumb. That's all
dumb.
she did.
You know what I'm saying? To where you really didn't. And then Halle Berry she hadn't won an Academy Award Oscar yet, but she was the most, other than Patrick Stewart, the most famous casted actor on the show. I mean, on the movie. She had one line.
And Hugh Jackman's too tall to be Wolverine.
You know what I'm saying? And
he's like 6'1". The guy who played Cyclops was what, 6 foot?
Was he? He didn't even see that. He didn't even see that. I thought he was like maybe average size. You know what I'm saying?
Hugh Jackman's like 6'1". Wolverine's supposed to be 5'3", 5'4".
If that, you know what I'm saying? And so now I don't think they'll. And now it's kind of like Christopher Reeve with Superman. So when we see a Superman, we always compare him to Christopher Reeve because he's the best Superman. Now going forward, they're always going to compare whoever plays Wolverine to Hugh Jackman. And they're always going to want somebody that's going to be bigger and good looking and think that Wolverine. And hopefully whoever takes over the X-Men going forward, I honestly want them to use a different team or make an X Factor movie. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with Wolverine and his popularity, and you ask why he's so popular. So Wolverine's biggest thing in his lore is not his healing ability. It's that he has a victory over every person in the Marvel universe. At least one victory. Even if he has 3 losses against them, he has at least one victory.
I saw the Hulk versus did you see the Hulk versus Wolverine animated movie?
Yes.
Yep.
Beautiful.
And even one of Wolverine's victories, he burrowed himself into the Hulk and exploded out of his body, cutting the Hulk's body in half. The serious dilemma with this is Hulk's healing ability is higher than that of Wolverine's. How do you cut fast enough to get through the Hulk's body? To even do that while he's in the middle of fighting with you.
Mm-hmm. And not get stuck or die.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
In World War Hulk, he just punched him in the head 50 times and left him concussed like an old boxer, and Wolverine just couldn't do anything because his brain is still soft.
Mm-hmm.
So how you burrowing into the Hulk's body and busting out like a stripper at a goddamn retirement party cake?
If we want to be logical, if adamantium was as strong as they said, is as strong as they say it is, and he's fighting against somebody like the Hulk who can go with basically unlimited force, hit it with unlimited force, your brain rattling against
concussion.
More than
like rattling against steel over and over and over again.
Oh, come on, man.
That's what he said in World War Hulk. He said, he just kept punching me. He said he's like a boxer. If you keep punching him in the head, he's going to be brain damaged. How fast does he heal from brain damage? And Professor X was like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, we saw that when he got shot in the head with the bullet in the movie, right? With the adamantium bullet, he healed, but he couldn't remember a darn thing.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and now, as we see in the X-Men 97 with that final episode, he doesn't have the adamantium anymore.
Right.
So
that's straight out of the comics too, man.
Yeah,
so I don't want to give it away for people who hadn't seen him, who haven't read the comics.
I know it's supposed to come next.
Yeah, man. I think they're gonna do it too. Now, how long they're gonna go about that, I don't know. I don't want to see Apocalypse no time soon because that's been used time and time again. And we know we're gonna see him eventually, but I think they need to let what's gonna happen go for a whole season. Will they allow it to happen for a whole season? I don't know what the past executive producer with some of the decisions he made. he might let that roll. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
we'll see. I did want to ask y'all this though, man. You know what I'm saying? What are y'all thoughts on Professor Xavier and his philosophy after watching 9 episodes of this season? I'm asking y'all, man, and I'm a answer afterwards.
Coach, you want to go
First,
first?
I'm a note that because everybody has to help Wolverine. In season 2, Colossus is going to donate some of his medals to Wolverine. And walking around with bones sticking out of his hands.
He said he gonna donate some of his medals. Oh man, you got any thoughts on his question? What are your thoughts on Professor X?
I mean, honestly, I think just like Magneto said, this whole season was to show Professor X messes up also. Because he said it to the X-Men. He said, all this to show you, even your Professor X makes mistakes. I think he said that in episode 6 or episode 7?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He said, even Professor X makes mistakes. And when he came back, he said, well, I thought I was giving you the freedom to not be forced to stay here. And I also thought that if I gave it to Magneto, everything would be okay. And it's like all the chickens was coming home to roost, that all the things I planned this and it was going to work this way. It's supposed to work this way. And none of it worked out. And he was sitting there apologizing for making a mistake. For once, you've never seen him have to apologize for making any mistake before, except with Old Man Wolverine in the movie Logan, where he was accidentally just throwing psychic bombs on everybody.
I ain't like that either.
I ain't like that either. Yeah, that was watching that Wolverine. Not to get off subject. Actually, I'll just go to it after. I'll go to that episode after. To answer your question, it shows that his philosophy is flawed, right? And I've said this to Brendan a number of times. I think Professor X is a narcissist, right? I really do. And I think he's strong. That's why he's laughing, because we've had this conversation. I strongly believe Professor X is a narcissist, right? And for you to think that the only way things are going to work out for mutants and humans is if they do it your way, is like, that's as narcissistic as it gets. You are pretty much saying, I don't want to see it go any other way except mine. In the end, I have to end up right, because then I need you guys to see that there's a reason why I call myself the leader. There's a reason why I call you my X-Men. There's a reason why I deserve to sit in the same seat or at the same level as the president of the United States, because I'm able to call these shots and see how they should come out. For me, it's flawed, because you look at, it's like anything in the world, right? Not everybody's going to, even if you are able to get a partial of what you want, not everybody's going to be on board, and you're always going to have an enemy. You can't then turn around and say, we will not eliminate our enemies. The prisons can't hold your enemies. And then some prisons refuse to hold your enemies because they feel like you're wrong for being born the way you were born, right? It's kind of like, it's obviously what we go through in life. You can't be a leader and say, well, we're going to stop our own kind. We're going to throw punches at our kind and their kind, and still somehow preach peace. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I see, and that's in this instant, right? Because you can always establish dominance and then, say, okay, I'm the dominant one, like Magneto wants to do. We're dominant. Magneto doesn't necessarily want to wipe their kind off the planet altogether. He's going to if he has to. But if you look at Magneto's character, he's kind of more reserved towards like, listen, I'm going to do what I have to. If they keep attacking my people, I'm going to finish them. But if they're willing to let us go or let us do our own thing like they was doing with Genosha, then I'm fine. Let me live in peace with my people on my land. That's kind of more to take that will work. Whereas Professor X is saying, no, we're going to stay on your land and you're going to be happy with it. And we're going to live normal. It's not going to happen. You got too many people out there that's gonna that hate is buried extra deep, and there's jealousy, obviously, which is why some of the people are offering themselves up to be turned into androids because they're jealous because they don't have the power or the strength. So it'll never work the way Professor X wants it to work.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's too narcissistic to see that.
I never thought about it like that, and just listening to what you're saying, to me, I think it's gonna sound weird to say, but I think Professor X is the true villain of the story. And the reason why I say that is because when you say he's narcissistic, and you call these people your children, but you're willing to sacrifice them for your vision. You know what I'm saying? And you said that, okay, yeah, I'm granted, okay, yeah, he did get shot in the original story, but you basically you left them without a roadmap, without anything for them to fend for themselves. You came back, okay, yeah, because you said you want to save them, but do you really want to save them, or are you just trying to save your thought process? You understand what I'm saying? Or you're so wedded to your ideology and your ideals that you can't see how dangerous it is for the people that you claim that you want to save. You understand what I'm saying? Because even Martin, after a certain period, his philosophy and his ideology changed. He didn't stay with the strict integrationism, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And he saw the error of some of his ways, and he wanted to pivot some of it from, okay, I'm just trying to help us, to I'm trying to help us and people who align with our ideals, if that makes sense. And so it is one of those things where even too, like, are you familiar with the Tulsa massacre?
Yes, somewhat.
Greenwood, and or Black Wall Street. Genosha almost seems similar to a parallel to that whole thing, to where, just like you said, Magneto is not necessarily trying to dominate the world. Magneto is like, look, if you give us a place and you just leave us alone, we won't even bother y'all. Yep. And they got it. And what did the white folks do? Because that's essentially what Bastion represents and the OZT represents. You know what I'm saying? They represent those people who saw the black people who had their own stuff in Tulsa, in Greenwood, or Rosewood is another one, or a lot of different other black places that existed. And like, who these mutants think they are? They have to think that they can have their own stuff, or who these black people, and destroyed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so it's one of those things. It's one of those things to where it's. I don't know if I'll ever be able to look at the character of Professor Charles Xavier the same ever again.
Yeah, like Lemire.
I agree. I mean, just think about, look at Rogue. I mean, Rogue broke it down right before she went to take over Magneto. She said, "How many more people have to die? How many of your students, your children, have to die before you realize you're wrong?" We lost Gambit. She's like, "Who's next? Jean? Well, we already did that one.
Right?
We'll do that again." She's like, "We threw them. She goes, Morph. We threw them away before they was with us. 2 seconds. So what's next? Who's next?"
It's crazy. I'm interested to see where they're. I mean, granted, they're coming straight out of the comics, but they've made some changes to these storylines. Yeah. But I'm interested to see where they go with this. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like what Ryan Coogler did with Black Panther, which I did not like. That's a different conversation for a different day, where he kind of deconstructed the character and deconstructed Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? It made sense that in his thought process of, if this place existed, how would black people feel about it if they knew that they existed and they saw how we were living? You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I feel like this series has kind of deconstructed Professor Xavier and his flawed logic. And you kind of give me another way to look at his narcissistic view, where he's so caught up in his vision and so caught up in his ideology that he does not see how it's affecting the people. Either he doesn't see how it's affecting the people around him, or he's so narcissistic where he lacks empathy and doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
He refuses to adjust.
Yeah,
Narcissistic.
yeah. I mean, think about it. This man went to a whole nother. He left them, went on a whole nother planet, and tried to become like a king there,
Mm-hmm.
by marrying the princess, the queen, or the princess, or whatever.
Made him emperor.
Yeah.
Now, one of the flaws of the show I have to address, and I didn't think about it at the time. Still, the show is not flawless, but it's still a great show. How do y'all feel about Bastion? Where did he get the cameras from to broadcast that HD view of the Shi'ar Empire and get it to travel 1 million miles across the universe in order
so
to broadcast?
Just watching Charles, right?
Right.
Yeah,
that's one, and then two. Why were they speaking English? or is it an alien language that automatically translates to whatever we hear? Like it's a cartoon.
I'll give you the one. I'll give you the one, and it probably covers the two. So you remember Transformers where Soundwave was up there being the satellite for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
So Soundwave caught that junk and he sent it to Shockwave, and Shockwave sent it over to Bastion because they both got that whole computer communications thing going. And since so Soundwave sent that junk to Shockwave, it got the auto Google translation and whatnot going through it. So we was like, all right, peep game, we see what you're doing.
I got you. And I do remember in Man of Steel whenever Zod was talking, even though we heard it as English. It came off in all the different languages. So I guess maybe it wasn't in English. Maybe they were speaking whatever language they were speaking, and maybe Professor X is not even speaking to them. Maybe he's speaking he's speaking through his telekinesis.
Well, remember, he was speaking to him because he used telekinesis to send them all in the classroom after. Because he said to himself, and this was another sign of him being narcissistic. He goes, "What are you doing, Charles? Show them who you are. Show them your power." And that's when he psychically took them all and sat them in the classroom. But he's standing at the head of the class, just kind of preaching to him at that point.
In all honesty, the Shi'ar Empire, it's a couple other empires, but they actually learn the language of every planet they plan to conquer. So they actually do know English.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
They know the multiple languages of each planet.
Mm-hmm. Which would make sense. Their technology is far advanced than that of Earth. So that would make sense. But that was one thing that's curious, and like, where do you get cameras, and how does he have all those different angles? Because were they recording it? Do they have television?
I'll say this, that does bring up the other question.
He's supposed to communicate with all. He's supposed to be able to communicate with all machine life. So he's the NSA on 1,000.
But my only thing with that though is that Magneto was able to shut down all of the Prime Sentinels because their technology of this Earth. But supposedly the only place that's not shut down is was supposedly the expansion of their technology because they use Shi'ar technology.
Yeah.
Right.
So So how's I don't know. It's too into the weeds.
It's flawed. It's flawed.
Yeah. Well, Magneto went to the I think it was the North Pole, set off a magnetic pulse that went through the Earth, and that's a magnetic pulse. But their technology, I mean, you can shield any job because even Forge's leg, remember, he said, I have this special metal on it that basically deflects that magnetic pulse that he put through the Earth.
And this is another thing.
Remember, Bastion is he's somehow from the future of the what did it say? It's one of the Sentinels went back into time basically, and pretty much created Bastion. So whatever 20-year, 2,500 crap that they got is within him to be able to supersede what's really going on.
He's also
Anything
an
that we can do
organist.
today, right? Anything that we could do today, he's 500 years in the future as far as his technology is advanced. So he's just able to do all types of wild stuff.
Is Wakanda still was Wakanda touched, or is vibranium immune from Magneto?
That's a good question.
Vibranium is considered the anti-metal.
Right. That's
So,
That's why I say it's a good question because
and part of that
you also,
I know specifically is because it's the anti-metal, Colossus' skin will detransform if it's even put close to him. Because how it breaks down other metals, if he were to
yeah.
be transformed to be hit with that, it would have permanently affect him.
So it's kind of like Superman with kryptonite.
Pretty much, that's his kryptonite. He can withstand nuclear explosion, being hurled through space and hitting another planet.
He could do all
But
that.
you
When
put
the
that
Black
near
Panther
him,
comes scratch him with them nails, it's over.
it's a wrap. He would have to fight Black Panther as a human.
and that's I hate to get off subject, and that's I love Ryan Coogler as a film writer, as a film director, and a visionary and all that thing. I just hate what he did with Black Panther. I hate it. I hate it with a passion, because what you said right there, and I can tell that you're very knowledgeable of comics. How powerful a character T'Challa was in the comics, and how powerful the Russo brothers made him in the Civil War, only for him to be nerfed in Black Panther like that. Granted, even though Killmonger did defeat him in the comics and did become Black Panther for a time, why did it have to happen in the first movie? Why does Shuri have to be the one to make all his gadgets when he's supposed to be on the same intellectual or level as Tony Stark and Bruce Banner? And the richest man and the basically the richest man in Marvel Comics. You're talking about the person that that held the Infinity Gauntlet, who held the Infinity Gauntlet, who commanded the Marvel zombies, who developed the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. But somehow he dies of what? Vibranium is supposed to be the cure for everything, but he dies. Make that make sense? But this is explanation. I'm sorry. I just when you said that just brought that up.
It
It bothers me,
and
man.
that's the problem.
It bothers me.
Problem. And I understand partially maybe they just wanted to, to honor Chadwick by not giving the part to anybody else. But by doing that, you kind of handicap yourself with where you're going with Black Panther, because I'm not the biggest fan of that second Black Panther movie.
No, it wasn't. It's not rewatchable.
I've watched it. My daughter loves watching it because she likes all that, the Marvel stuff and all that. So every once in a blue moon, she would ask me, "Hey, Dad, let's watch Black Panther," or if she see me passing by it or something. But it's not one of those. I mean, I like to delve into the other characters while I'm watching it, but really, I just couldn't buy into her as Black Panther because the reasoning made no sense to me.
And then they killed Queen Mother too. Like, why does Ryan Coogler got to kill somebody in every movie?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it to me, my thing is, okay, you had a close relationship with Chadwick Boseman. You didn't want to recast the character, then either step down from the project or don't make another Black Panther movie for the next however many years until you can recast the character. Because best believe if whoever playing Batman were to pass away, Batman ain't dying, and you're not gonna see Robin playing Batman. If Christopher Reeve got paralyzed, how many Supermen have we seen? It's Christopher Reeve when you think of Superman, you think of Christopher Reeve because that 78 Superman was the pinnacle of filmmaking. You know what I'm saying? Now the Joker, how many Jokers have we seen in the last 5 years? There's 3 different Jokers, right?
That's facts. That's facts.
You know
I mean, so I think but that is one of the reasons why Marvel has been so good as far as the films is because of the continuity of character.
Hmm.
But it's also a situation where, like, if you have a situation, Chad passed away that had nothing to do with the movies, you can recast.
Yeah,
Right? We'll always remember Chad as the first Black Panther. He's always gonna be that dude. You know what I mean? There's many
yeah.
other movies I watched him in. I love other movies I've watched him in,
Hmm.
but he's always known to me as the Black Panther. So you could have recasted him and still gave him that honor.
And honor him. You honor him in the beginning of the movie, or honor him at the end of the movie. But
Yeah,
to kill the character, you know what I'm saying? Like they could have gone with the storybook arc and said that T'Challa's in a is in a coma from a battle, and if you wanted to make sure the Black Panther, because that's originally what Reginald Hudlin did in the 2000s when Shuri had a run. She had a six, I think it was either a 6 or 8 issue run as the Black Panther, and
yeah,
eventually he came back. It wasn't, and you see all this stuff on Twitter. Oh, y'all don't want black women to have nothing. Like, no, like we never got. People have
Panther,
waited for 50 years to see that character.
wasn't she the White
Never
Panther at one
got
point?
him. Say that again.
Wasn't she the White Panther at one point in the comics?
I know. I don't think she was the. Well, I think she wore white. I don't think she was the White Panther. I think she had a white
It was
costume. I do remember.
he
I
was
don't know if they
he was
called her the
still
White Panther.
around, and it was either Shuri or Lupita Nyong'o's character was there was a White Panther and a Black Panther,
Hmm. I know it was a white
and
wolf.
now it was a White Panther. It's a all white costume. And it's
Hmm.
one of the women wore that. I forgot exactly who it was, but it was at one point he had disappeared or something, and she had taken on the mantle of the White Panther, and she was killing motherfuckers left and right, front and
Yeah.
center. She was not the one to mess with.
No, I got you,
But
man. Yeah, it's I don't. It's just so. It's just frustrating, dude, because we're not gonna see Storm and T'Challa get married. We're not gonna see. They could do Doom Wars. It's not gonna be the same without T'Challa. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
We're not gonna see T'Challa command the Marvels. Well, they already did that with or similar to that with Doctor Strange. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? There's so many. We're not gonna see the Black Panther defeat the Fantastic Four. Which we should get a chance. It's a lot of things that we're never gonna get a chance to
because
see. You know what I'm saying? So it's I didn't mean to go sideways like that, but when you brought
no,
that
no,
up,
you good.
it just made me think about that, and it's just so frustrating. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I
No,
love Ryan Coogler. They signed him on for Black Panther 3, and there's rumors that they want him to direct the X-Men movie. And the thing I love Ryan Coogler, and it's no not. It just seems like he has trouble centering. Um, I'm not gonna say that because he's done it before, but it's like I think recently he has trouble centering male characters.
uh,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Somehow male characters. Granted, we need women, but somehow male characters, especially black male characters, cannot stand on their own. You know what I'm
you
saying?
know, is you brought up, Black Panther and the Fantastic Four. I don't know if you've seen the news about the Fantastic Four, but the villain for the first movie has been named, and it's going to be Galactus.
I don't know. That's gonna work.
So
I don't know. I like the
that's
actor
what
that
I
they
was just
used
about to
for it.
ask how y'all felt about Galactus being named the big bad for the first new Fantastic Four movie in 2025.
I wanted to ask you, what if M'Baku becomes a Black Panther?
Nah, we need T'Challa is the character with the 50 years of lore. You understand what I'm saying? I just feel like we've never had a full fledged Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? I know they're trying to do as Black Panther as a mantle, whole mantle thing, and no, if we say that Batman's a mantle, Spider-Man's a mantle, no, they're not.
Yeah,
Spider-Man's Peter Parker, and now it's Miles Morales. Batman's Bruce Wayne. Superman is Clark Kent. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, yeah, No. And Baku is man ape. let it be man ape, even though they don't want to say man ape because they think it's problematic. Let it be man ape. You know what I'm saying?
What they got left? That was just a question. With what they got left, I don't think they should have. They shouldn't have killed T'Challa either. Like doing a T'Challa Junior is not the same thing.
No, it's not. Fellas, give me. I might not have that much time. Give me my iPad's about to die. Give me like maybe a minute and grab a charger real fast. I don't leave conversation. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, I listen. Galactus as the big bad is. I think that's gonna be a tough one, right? Because they do.
I think I'm skipping that one. We were talking about that. They're just now formed. Why are they fighting like an Omni God practically?
Well, I guess they're gonna pick up where they've been around for a long time and all this other stuff. I guess I don't know. But they already tried that, right? They tried the Galactus battle.
Every time they do a reboot, they fight Galactus.
Huh?
Every time they do a reboot, oh, we got to fight Galactus.
Yeah. They could have went somewhere else with this. But they went Galactus. I'm glad they didn't go Doctor Doom first. I'm glad they didn't do Doctor Doom first, but you could have went somewhere other than Galactus.
Real talk. I think I don't know if you saw Giancarlo Esposito's been cast. I think he's gonna be in Fantastic Four. I think he might be either. I think he might be Doctor Doom.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man.
I think that's one of the reasons why he doesn't have they haven't given a name for him. I could be wrong, but I think that's where they're probably gonna end up in like in a post credit scene.
Yeah,
and they're gonna reuse them.
Yeah, but you can't. The one thing you just can't do is have them fight. They shouldn't have the first movie that you're doing with them. They should not be fighting Galactus, and they should not have been fighting Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your two major big bads for the Fantastic Four. Unless you don't plan on doing another movie, then you do not need them to fight them.
But you know why they're doing it though. You know why they're doing it because you can't have the Silver Surfer without Galactus.
Yeah, and
they're hell bent on having the Silver Surfer in this Fantastic Four movie. But the thing is, the Fantastic Four have some of the most recognizable and known rogues gallery that there is. Like they fight more than Galactus. Like they could have did something
Spider-Man fights.
I mean, but it's between to me, it's between X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man have the most extensive character list out of all of them. You know what I'm saying? To the obscure to the great. You know, it's unfortunate. I think part of it too might be because of the whole thing with Jonathan Majors that they feel they have to go to Galactus, but
yeah, because I think they're gonna they're gonna gear up for Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're using Doctor Doom for that, and it's going to be, I don't know, man. It's gonna be scary to see what they do with it, but I think they might at this point, if they're fighting Galactus already, then they're probably only doing one Fantastic Four movie. And they're just going to make an introductory to those characters.
Yeah. Nah, I honestly, I think they're going to kill it, man. I don't know how it's going to work because it's like, because are they going to do it how the original Rise of the Silver?
We can't trust Suge.
Suge's
opinion is skewed. He likes the Cowboys and the Steelers.
I'm just going
to Suge's trying to beat us. That's what that is.
He's trying to trolling.
But that's why we know he likes the Cowboys and the Steelers.
Do you think they're gonna just use the guy's voice, or do you think they're gonna actually have Galactus as show us kind of his form?
So
could that be almost impossible?
From what I saw, they have somebody who's they picked out the character, they gave him Galactus credit, and I think the guy was saying something about his role, and it's like, so I don't know if they're gonna give it to us where maybe we're just really hearing his voice, or if he's actually going to be an on-screen presence. They're talking like he's going to be an on-screen presence. Like
that's what I'm saying. I don't see how you pull that off because Galactus is like
I don't either.
Yeah, he's a planet eater.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like for I'll give the Rise of the Silver Surfer credit was that I mean they understood that you can't like it would be ridiculous to have somebody that big. You know what I'm saying, on screen. So they try to use it as more like he's a god-like character because that's technically what what we would think that he is as a scale to a human being. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like we wouldn't be
No,
able to
you're
imagine.
right.
Like we saw what eternity looked like, and even though I don't like the movie, we saw what he looked like in eternity looked like in Thor: God of Love and Thunder. You know what I'm saying? Like you got a walking he's a walking galaxy. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? So what they're gonna do with I just don't see how they can pull. I mean, I guess they can. I mean, anything's possible. I guess we'll definitely see what they do. But I think the cast of that Pedro Pascal is too good an actor. You know what I'm saying? Unless he's not given anything to work with, I think it's gonna be. It should be pretty good, man. I'm with you.
It has to come out good, right?
Yeah. I just don't think they should use Galactus, but we know why they're using Galactus because you can't have the Silver Surfer without Galactus, and they're not. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So it's like you gotta. I don't know. It's
You're gonna
what's
force. You're kind of gonna force it. You're gonna force it. It's unfortunate that it has to happen right away. But again, I think they're trying to. They got so many movies that they have lined up right now that they're trying to hit a home run for getting everybody. I think they're trying to rush everybody into the MCU now
hmm
so that you have the characters there and you can say, okay, now I can do any movie at any point and I can cross characters and all that other stuff. And I think they're just trying to push everybody in, and that this Deadpool and Wolverine movie is going to help big time with that. But
I think that's gonna kill it too, man. I think
yeah,
one of
I
the
think
reasons
that
why
movie's going to be phenomenal.
I think the one reason why
Said
it's gonna
Deadpool was in MCU though.
say that again.
I thought they said the Deadpool movie was in the MCU.
The original one, no, it wasn't.
No, they're talking about this one coming.
Oh no, this one is. Yes, this one is. This one is. That's why he makes all the jokes about Kevin Feige only allowing certain things in the MCU. Like he was talking about, they don't allow us to say cocaine and all that stuff. He's making the jokes in the movie, but they're saying it with all the nicknames and all that. This one's actually part of the MCU. And he's supposed to be, they're using the Deadpool Wolverine movie to kind of fix the MCU and kind of, you know how it was basically the Loki series, the timeline was all jacked up and broken. They're going to kind of use this to weave it back together, so to speak, and build a new universe where everybody kind of exists. They're basically going to say, like, oh, the X-Men were here. They were just in the background. You know, that's basically what they're using it for.
That's why they're doing
Deadpool saying, you're the only one that can fix this.
That's why they're doing Fantastic Four as a period piece. They're gonna say basically they were stuck in space they're trying to say it's gonna be in the 60s. It's gonna be based in the 60s that they actually existed, and then somehow they got stuck in a time, some sort of time thing. I just think that's they don't have to make everything connect. I think they should take this opportunity to make some things not connect. You understand what I'm saying? And maybe just let things, because I think that's where they're kind of running into issues because they're trying to make everything connect. You know, and you're hamstringing creators and they can't make good movies. I think the thing that worked in the beginning was because the original movies didn't connect. They made movies and then they connected it with a post credit scene. You understand what I'm saying? And so the only movies that really connected for real like that were the Avengers movies. You know what I'm saying? The Avengers, and then there were certain parts of certain movies that connected, but it wasn't as if everything had to depend on this. You understand what I'm saying? It was like maybe one or two things in there that connected, so that way the movies weren't hamstrung till they got to the point to where they were too connected. You know what I'm saying? And made it to where you can't really create anything. You can't necessarily be creative. And so
Spider web you get stuck into.
right, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things to where it's kind of like how the last Spider-Man movie, you know what I'm saying, Far From Home. Those Spider-Man movies weren't connected whatsoever, but they were allowed to be their own thing, but then they were able to do something to tie them together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, because what happens when you try to tie everything together, we got the internet now. We watch movies over and over
We gonna look
again.
back and find
So
out.
we gonna find any inconsistency that there is. we gonna find a way to tear it down. What are these cats saying about X-Men 97? Do we gotta go back to X-Men 97 again?
Suge, first off, let me give a shout out to Suge Knight 323 and the GOAT and Graven Viz, the GOAT of Raven's YouTube content right there. Both of y'all welcome into the channel, and please, people, go subscribe to these gentlemen. Great content. So Suge is saying X-Men, he's not trolling. X-Men 97 is hot garbage to him. And Graven's like, hey, whoa, I don't know how you can feel that way. And I'm on the Graven's side with this one because I think we all are. Because watching the series, the character arc, Suge, you can't tell me the character arc hasn't been beautiful.
Especially perfect, dude. I mean, it ain't perfect
in the last few episodes.
Yeah, it's been better than most. I mean, the only animated show that's been on par with this far character wise, to me, is Avatar: The Last Airbender, the second season, and the second and third season, and Justice League Unlimited, not Justice League Unlimited, but the original Justice League series. You know what I'm saying? And but even comparing this to original Justice League series, this animation is a lot better than Justice League was. That was TV7.
The fight scene, the way the fight scenes, just the amount better that the fight scenes got than the action scenes. And then it seems like if you pay close attention, there's so much just drama. You know, you got your love scenes, you got, you know, relationship issues, you got it. I mean, everything is there. They're putting everything into the series, from action to drama. The emotion is there. The losing characters,
the stakes,
like the stakes are actually high. Like the stakes are high in this series, and it's a lot going on.
This is not Days of Our Lives. They ain't going with all that extra. I feel like he should be able to defend himself live on screen. I feel like y'all piling on the man, and he ain't even do nothing but give his honest opinion.
Yes, that's true. But the thing is, the thing about this too that I like though is that they're not falling back on Cable to save everything. Cable or Bishop.
So look, Suge said it's not like the original, and I think that's what's wrong though, right? You want it to be like the original, but they don't want it to be. Neither do I. don't want this to be what the original.
It's better than the original, bro. It's better than the original,
and it is better. Like it's so Rodney's problem with it, right? I was talking to B. His problem with it is that he feels like they just made it another Saturday morning cartoon, just like the original. And I feel like it's better than the original, right? It's not just another Saturday morning cartoon because you can see Wolverine actually stabbing someone in this series. You can see the blood, you got death. There's more sexuality in this season.
And no Mystique.
Yeah. Oh, he loves the fact that there's no Mystique. You done told me that like 7 times. You love that there's no Mystique. There's all of that because they are giving you a history for a lot of the characters, but you're seeing things go in a different direction, right? You can no longer. I remember watching the old one. A lot of times you'll be watching it, you could kind of predict how the show was going to go, right? You saw it, you knew what was coming. With this, it seems like unless you know the comics, there's so many twists and turns that you're like, ooh, they're going to get him with this one. I didn't see that coming. Like Gambit's death, I never saw Gambit's death coming.
Me neither. Or how he did it, he went out as a G. But then not only that, the animation,
he should have been on the screen,
right?
That crop top with the red hair and the double ponytail. Come on, bro.
Oh, talking about Gideon?
I know. I'm talking about Cyclops in the first scene where he was sitting in that halter top.
Oh,
I was like, bro, what did they do to him?
I got you, man. But not it's I don't know. I don't even know if you guys even know. Go back and watch the last couple seasons of the original. The animation is not that good.
It's not. It
got worse
as the series went on. I go back and watch it. Yeah.
It's not. It got worse. I get it. Like, you know, I was a teenager toward the end of it. You know what I'm saying? Actually, toward the most of the show as a teenager, so I didn't watch it as a kid. But he talking about we saw that coming from a mile away. Okay, I got you. Yeah, you know.
We didn't. I don't think anybody saw it coming from a mile away. Sugar say that. Hold on, Sugar say he saw it coming from a mile away. Sugar, he knows a lot about the Marvel universe.
He might, but I don't. But
I don't think
even
anybody
think
specifically dying.
Being the oldest person on the screen, I knew somebody was gonna die.
But Gambit's death wasn't canon, was it? Just like Sunspot joining Magneto's not canon because Colossus was the one who joined Magneto, not Columbus, not Sunspot. So they changed some of the stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now Wolverine getting his claw snatched out. No, that's straight up. That they used the same panel from the comics in the exact same way.
Rogue cried when he died. All right. I get it though. I get what you're saying because she was messing with Magneto because he was the only one who could actually touch her.
That's canon in the comics.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't even pound that.
Right.
So I get that. But we still didn't see Gambit die. We couldn't predict Gambit was going to die.
Nah.
You know what I mean? I think that was something that caught everybody off guard. Like I said, I cried. I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah, I would have been caught off guard if somebody come to Discord and basically just give the whole episode away.
You asked and you said you didn't care to watch it.
We didn't know that one. That one we didn't ask. You and Jay was in there that morning. I can't believe what they did to my peoples.
I'm glad I went on Discord. Fortunately for me, I'm off on Wednesday, so I can see it fairly. I have to get off because now these guys can hit all they want to do. It ain't really built for. It's built for some of these people who are comic book heads, but it's mostly built for mainstream. This show is a cultural phenomenon, dude. It's mainstream, man. And so you have to, if you don't watch it early, and you're on social media, it's gonna get spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Especially a lot of black people watch it, so we're gonna meme it and all that stuff. And so we said culture. That's why it's culturally relevant right now, and which is and I like stuff like this because it gives people who are YouTube creators a chance to make new content. You know what I'm saying? Discussing different things, man. So. I mean, everybody. It's not gonna be for everybody. It's not gonna get 100%. Everybody's not gonna love it. You know what I'm saying? But in my opinion, I think it's one of the best seasons if not the best season of animated television shows. And I think it's one of the best seasons of television shows. Period. Any genre. And I can give you the examples of my favorite seasons, and you can agree or disagree. But I like what I like. You like what you like.
No, actually,
I've seen everything. I don't know everything.
Right.
So are we hearing it here first? Is that what's going on? We're hearing it here first. It's going to be DDSQ channel on Cartoon Animation. Is that what's going on?
Nah, I wish
what happened was.
I wish I had the time to do it, man. I like to support. I stay in my lane, dude. You know what I'm saying? So today I was able to get on because my wife worked a long day and my son goes to bed at 7:30. You know what I'm saying? So I was able to get on and spend time, and she's asleep now. So only things bother me my two little dogs I got down here. But as far as committing to I thought about doing a channel. You know what I'm saying? And because I like to talk about a lot of different things. From my moniker, I'm a licensed dentist and I'm also an ordained minister as well, man. So I do stuff with my church and work with the youth with my dad. And so to be able to commit to something the way it needs to and not be have whatever you want to say. If I can't do it right, I'm not gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So one of my boys gets on me all the time, like, man, you need to do podcasts and stuff like that. And he's like, because he does it. He's a minister and does his thing as far as inspirational stuff and things of that nature. I have a lot of different interests. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's history, pop culture, music. I'm kind of all over the place with it. But to sit down and dedicate, like I can have a conversation like this because this is fun to be able to talk about. And Big Rez, I thank you for allowing me to come on and kind of run my mouth a little bit, man. Run my mouth a little bit because, other than my brother-in-law, who's my same age and likes a lot of stuff, same stuff, I don't get a chance to talk about this stuff. like that. You know, every now and again with some of my friends, but you know what I'm saying, not not all the time, man. But yeah, maybe in the cars in the future it'd be cool to be able to, you know what I'm saying, get some of the stuff off. But having a 9-month-old and being a traveling dentist and all that, I could. There's no way I would be able to do it consistently to the level that will make sense to make it work. So I'm just open to conversations like this whenever I have time, and I appreciate you guys allowing me to come on. I know I rambled a lot, but you know what I'm
Hey,
saying.
man, hey, listen, no such thing as rambling. Anytime, the door's always open. All you gotta do is say word. Hit me up. Hey, Reg. Hey, I'm available for an episode this week if you want to have me on. Anytime, the door's open.
Oh no, I definitely
open.
will, man. Like say whether it's like I'm and it's funny because not to get off topic, I found so like I said, I grew up a Buccaneers fan, but I love of course I've always liked the Ravens because of Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, you know what I'm saying, Shannon Sharp, Steven there. I can go back and name like a lot of you guys, Bull Ware, you know what I'm saying, Sam Adams, Saragusa. And so I've always kind of watched you guys from afar. And I was in Tampa when you guys won your first Super Bowl. And actually Ray Lewis is from my mom's hometown. And went to the same high school my mom graduated from, and my grandmother used to teach there. And so I found a lot of Ravens content creators because being a fan of Lamar and wanting to see film on him on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? I think the first person that I came across I think it might have been Engraven. And then I think I got hooked up to Coach Evans' channel, and I got to Huddle Up. So I watch all you guys, man, all YouTube creators and Ravens creators. And so, and it's one of those things to where like I've been watching YouTube since before YouTube was bought by Google, and I used to watch YouTube because I used to watch old Nintendo people play old Nintendo games that I couldn't be when I was a kid. And they used to have old episodes of the Saturday morning cartoons that you couldn't find anywhere pre-video on demand. You know what I'm saying? So my YouTube moniker goes back to 2000 and probably when did YouTube start? 2007, 2006, around that time, man.
Yeah, roughly around there.
Yeah. So yeah, if I was smart, I would have started one back then. Maybe I'd be like angry video game nerd and have like 3 million subscribers and be retired and not have to go to dental school.
Retired, working from home.
Right. But like I said, I got hit to you guys from, you know what I'm saying, following liking Lamar and then following you guys' content because there's not a lot of as a Buccaneers fans, there's Buccaneers content creators, and maybe that's a lane for me, man. I don't know. I don't know of any black ones. You know what I'm saying? And so, and Buccaneers fans can be, I don't know, Tampa is the Democratic city, is very progressive, but it's also very segregated. And so some Buccaneers fans could be some of the most racist people that you could ever think, dude, whether you know it or not. So yeah, man. So I just like supporting black YouTubers, dude. You know what I'm saying? So I'm more supporter than the creator as of now. So I'm on follow Hendo. I get on his streams. I get on the LBHT crew streams. I call the Coach Evans show whenever he allows to call in. That's my frat brother. You know what I'm saying? So I try to support him and send in super chats and all that stuff, man, to keep y'all channels going, dude. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all are doing a service, bro. And really and truly, a lot of people don't know, man. Especially as black men, there's not a lot of places that we can have a voice and be unfiltered. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot more black male YouTubers and a lot more black men get their information from YouTube, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, maybe in the future, but it's not in the cards right now. Maybe when my son get a little bit older and I get a little more time, I can do it. But I just appreciate the opportunity, man.
I'm gonna tell you like Hendo told me, because when I'm working my work schedule, between my work schedule, the kids, Mrs. work schedule, it gets tough. I struggle to find time to get on here, which is why right now I only stream once a week, and then I try to chop it up into shorts, and I'll do different shorts throughout the week to kind of keep the content flowing. It gets tough when you got a busy schedule, but Hendo, and I credit him for being the main person behind me getting the channel, because Hendo said to me, he's like, just do it. Just do it. He's like, even if you do a couple videos and you don't, stick to it, just do it. Because the people that are subscribed, they'll be the ones that'll stick with you, no matter how long you're going. So he's like, just do it. So I just started doing it. One day I just started making videos, and I was just posting videos. And then they finally talked me into going live. So now I'm going live weekly. I haven't made a video in forever. And me and Brandon used to have this debate. And I used to tell him, I prefer to make a video than go live because I didn't want to be in front of the live screen. I didn't want to be on camera live and have to talk in the mic and be, it's one of those things that bothered me. But he made fun of, he hated making videos. He would prefer to go live over the two. And fast forward to now, I'm the one that's always going live and he's making the videos. We kind of swapped where we were in the beginning. But it's just crazy how it works because I always call him my co-host because at the end of the day, he's one of my go-tos when it comes to this YouTube thing. I'll have tons of guests on, bring anybody on anytime, right? Because I love having people on here because it gives us all a chance to get out there and say, now you want to go take care of yourself and start a channel. Or this is like your audition, so to speak, right? Show the people, okay, I could do this. Let me prove to yourself I could do this. So let me go ahead and do it. But that's the advice Hendo gave me was just do it.
Yeah, I got you. It's funny. I did I've guessed on with certain people before. You know what I'm saying? And me and my dad did a podcast together probably a couple of years ago, and we wanted to start one for the church, but we kind of had some issues with the person that wanted to produce it. You know what I'm saying? But see, the issue with me is that I work out of Tampa area. So I'm a traveling dentist. I go to like 34 different nursing home facilities throughout the state of Florida. And so, but my wife and my son are in Jacksonville. And so I'm in Tampa for 2.5 days, and then I'm in Jacksonville for the rest of the time. And then I help the youth and kids at my dad's church as well. So I'm kind of here and there and everywhere, man. Yeah, man. So I'm not gonna front and say I'm too busy. It's one of those things to where like tonight is cool because my kid and my wife are asleep, but it's making sure even in the times that I'm here that I'm present. You know what I'm saying? It's finding that balance to be present. It's the main thing, man. I ain't gonna lie. I would love to do it. You know what I'm saying? And but the key is to anything is consistency. You know what I'm saying? You got to be consistent. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it right and be consistent. You know what I'm saying? That's the toughest thing because like once you're consistent, it's consistently finding things to talk about and being interesting. You know what I'm saying? But but it's if it's in the cards, in the cards, man. It's in the cards, in the cards. This was definitely fun though.
I gotta be honest. I think Miss Yolanda has perfected the craft because if you watch her, she gets in and out of there in 30 minutes. Boom. She goes, I'm not going over 30 minutes. I'm in and out of here in 30 minutes. She's perfected the craft.
Yeah.
I can't seem to get a show started and finish in 30 minutes. I like to go.
You probably couldn't do it if I'm on there because I talk a lot.
I do too, though. I ramble.
Yeah.
I ramble.
Yeah.
I don't need you. I don't need you doing that. The missus in the background talking about some.
Yeah, but the thing is, but that's one of the things too, though. It's like it just depends on the personality type. You know what I'm saying? Like some people, like I never realized how I always thought I was more of a fly by the seat person. I never realized how regimented that I was until I started doing what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? To where like I'm on a schedule. Like I wake up the same time every day. I try to, like most times I go to maybe between 5 and 7 facilities, anywhere from 60 to sometimes 100 to 120 patients. So it's like everything has to be accounted for. Everything has to be regimented. What time I get there, how much time I spend with the patient. Okay, I got to get to the next patient, got to get to the next place. You know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things to where it's like you don't realize you can do it, you just got to get to the point to where you set that regimen. Okay, these are the things that I'm going to talk about. These things I'm going to discuss. And then also, it's one of those things. Also, if the more, I would say, the more consistent you are, the easier it will be to stick to that short amount of time. Because if you don't, and that's one thing that I realize, even when it's my time to minister to the youth, if I haven't done it in a long time, then there's so much that I want to say, and I'm up there forever. But if I'm there more consistently, then I can get to my points faster because I'm not trying to do everything at once because I don't know when the next time I'm gonna get the opportunity. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying?
Perfect sense. That makes
So,
perfect sense.
yeah, so this is one of the things that I learned. But then I mean, like I said, this has been an open conversation because I thought I had 30 minutes. We're going on an hour and 45. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
listen. My show's
and I'm good.
If you were watching Yolanda earlier, she said it. She was like, "Well, hopefully we'll get a 2-hour show later on." She called it. She kind of said it.
No, I got you, man. I got you.
And she comes in here and she says it all the time. Hashtag 2 hours.
There's a lot going on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole Rasheed Rice thing, and then there hasn't. I mean, you know, if you had a chance to talk about X-Men '97, there's been 9 episodes of some of the best animation that we've seen at least in the last, when did Avatar go out the air, in 2009?
It's been
15 years. You know what I'm saying?
Years,
yeah. So it's one of the things too is where like this is not. It'd be different if this was a bingeable show with a show that comes out every week. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you get 30 minutes, and then these episodes are longer than the original series because there's no commercials. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of meat on the bone. If we were just talking about one episode, then that's different. We're talking about the whole series. We're talking about lore. We start talking about Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot to discuss, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when it comes to Marvel, you can't talk about one without bringing up the other. I think that's one of the things that makes it. That's why it's one of my favorite topics. I mean, if you watch my shows, you wouldn't even be able to tell, but I'm a WWE fan too.
I got you.
So if I start talking about that, then I'm going to get into years of talking about WWE.
Yeah, but see, but you know what's crazy? I haven't watched wrestling like I'm familiar with the characters, some of the characters now, but you couldn't tell me and my brother anything growing up. It's like I was born in '81. My brother was born in '78. He's since passed, but every Saturday we were watching wrestling. You know what I'm saying? And then they came out with Monday Night Raw. We used to watch Monday Night Raw, and then we were fortunate to have cable. We went to church on Sunday, so we never got a chance to see the Sunday show. They used to come on USA Network. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, and so whenever we got to watch the Sunday show, that was a treat. You know, there was a point that wrestling was on 3 nights a week.
I got a question for you, Q.
Go ahead.
Since you old enough to remember this, I know Reg's a little young, so he can't remember this because he's young. You remember the ice cream truck had the little ice cream sandwich bars with each wrestler,
and
it had the different wrestlers, and I can never get all of them.
But I remember those ice creams. I remember seeing the commercials. You know, I never had one.
Man, that was the best ice cream sandwich I ever had.
It probably was. I never had one. Probably.
I still wish they would come back. If they would bring that back, I would buy cases.
You know, they might bring it back at a point. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't a chocolate ice cream sandwich. It was the golden ice cream sandwich.
Yeah, I consistently got the Undertaker one. Consistently.
Yeah. Dude,
it was random cards. You would get the box. It was in a box, and you would get the ice cream sandwich, and there would be a card inside matching the wrestler on it. You couldn't pick which box.
So I never. I'm saying when I got it from the ice cream truck, I consistently got the Undertaker. That's it.
He probably only bought those ones. He got the joints that was left over.
Let me give me the old one, the stale joints.
let me ask y'all this, and this is an honest question. It's not hyperbole. Since we brought the Undertaker. Do you think The Undertaker had the best introduction of any character in the history of WWF wrestling? Because every other character that from when I remember growing up, for the most part, they either existed in a different form. But what they did with the promos of the Undertaker and how he couldn't take, do you think that was one of the best ones to ever, if not the best ever, introduction of a character?
Absolutely.
Am I is that hyperbole?
Like Undertaker.
I can't think of anybody who had an introduction. I remember guys who changed characters. And I remember what they tried to do with Goldberg, but Goldberg couldn't wrestle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Goldberg couldn't wrestle.
But the fact that, I guess maybe because we were so young, like Undertaker, like the whole idea of the Undertaker was scary. And what they used to do with Brother Love, and I used to have them come out, how he would just lurk and appear before he even wrestled. You know what I'm saying? Can you think of anybody who had an introduction like that, to where they kind of built him up before they brought him out like that? Wasn't already another character.
The only other person that had any type of thing like that, and it was a character change more than anything, and it was Sting. Right? When Sting went when he did that whole Crow thing.
Yeah, that to me that wasn't the same though.
And now, no, it wasn't on that level. It wasn't on that level by any means, but it was him. He kind of built himself up over that time just through promos without wrestling. He just built it up. But it was different because Undertaker hadn't stepped on the mat yet.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making though.
And nobody else.
Only person, now he wasn't to that extent, but somebody who was scary too. Y'all remember Papa Shango?
Yes.
People throw up and have all this stuff happen to him.
Yeah.
But not to the level to what the reason why I say what I say with the Undertaker is because how he started to how long he lasted as a character. You know what I'm saying? To his lore, to how famous he was. I can't think of anybody else who had an introduction like that.
No,
you know
not at all.
They tried it with Sergeant Slaughter, but it wasn't Sergeant. He wasn't really. It wasn't. He didn't last. It wasn't the same. I can't think of nobody else.
That's because there wasn't anybody else. Undertaker's one of one.
Yeah,
he's
because Stone Cold Steve Austin was Stunning Steve Austin.
Yeah,
The Rock was Rocky Maivia.
Alan Steve.
The only other one I'd say is probably Kane, right? He didn't even have the buildup he had, but Kane had for that short stint. His didn't last as long, but for that short stint when Kane, back when his introduction was coming in and ripping the doors off the Hell in a Cell, but for weeks to months they talked about the brother of Undertaker. But
was he a clone Undertaker before he was Kane though?
He was a lot of people. I believe he was the clone Undertaker before that worked for Ted DiBiase.
Yeah.
He was also Dr. Isaac Yankem. I don't know if you remember him.
I remember the character, but I vaguely remember the character.
They said the guy who played Kane did play like a bunch of other roles before.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's why I brought the Undertaker as far as that's concerned. Because the Undertaker, I don't remember the Undertaker playing another character. He's been the same character the whole time, and they built him up. And I think I was like maybe 9 or 10 years old when he came out. Like he was for real deal scary.
You can't see.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe because I was a kid. I don't know. It might be hyperbole. I don't know. But to me,
I was in the arena with my brother, and I was at least 20, and we had the seats behind the announcers. What's the dude who used to come? Boogeyman. He ran through. My brother jumped on me and said, "Hey, what you scared of, boy? You ain't even that big." Man, Undertaker walked by. I said, ain't no way in hell, boy. Look, at that point, I was in my brother's seat.
So the one thing with Undertaker, before going to the WWE or WWF back then, he was in WCW under the name Mark Calloway.
WWF.
Yes. But
Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Get it right.
Well, when Undertaker came in, it was just WWF.
No, it was Worldwide Wrestling Federation still.
But either way, before then he was in WCW.
I never knew that, but we didn't watch a lot of WCW from the 80s.
It was atrocious. It was an atrocious character. He was just he was like a giant cowboy. Like he was, You know, he wore a leather vest and jeans, and yeah,
But even I'm trying to think of like I remember Ric Flair before when he was in WCW before he went to WWF back to WCW. I remember who else do I remember? I remember Arn Anderson, but those guys weren't. I mean, they were great tactician wrestlers, but they weren't. I remember what's the dude that had the song? I can't think of his name.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
No, not Hacksaw Jim. He was in WCW, man. He had I just watched a YouTube video of him the other day. Not Diamond Dallas Page,
Dusty
but
Rhodes.
no, he was supposed to have a rock career, but he ended up messing it up. It escapes my mind just real quick. But I remember characters like that, but they were okay, but WWF wrestlers always seem more larger than life to me. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
the way
And
the way
those
they
guys,
built their characters, man.
they just seem like regular. Like they seem because WCW was what it was. It was regional. It was out of Atlanta. It was Southern. You know what I'm saying? It was basically marketed to rednecks essentially. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
But it's going. I mean, just talking about wrestling, it's just interesting because I remember watching the Andre the Giant documentary. And granted, I watched wrestling and like I said, growing up as being born in '81 and watching the original SummerSlam '88. I remember the first couple of WrestleManias. Well, I don't remember WrestleMania 1, but like WrestleMania 3 and on. You know what I'm saying? I never realized how regional wrestling was,
Mm-hmm.
and how much it was a small business, and essentially how cutthroat Vince McMahon was, which was ended up being good for the sport, but bad for the sport at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things to where the no matter what they do, with basically wrestling being a monopoly right now, there's no way they're going to be able to recapture what the Attitude Era was in the mid to late 90s.
No, they're not going to be able to recapture that. But I'll say this: right now, they're on the precipice of doing something that has to be. This will be the second greatest wrestling era since the '90s, since that Attitude Era run. I mean, right now they're capturing something. They're going crazy. I mean, especially with they got to deal with Netflix, so they're going to be moving Raw over to Netflix.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, and once they're on Netflix, they're able to do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to see a lot more of the Attitude Era, but they're back to cursing. They're back
but will they? Because aren't they corporate? Can't they not say or do certain things because of they got shareholders and all that stuff?
No, they're good
what channels that they're on.
They're majority. So it depends on the channel, but it also depends. Their majority shareholder right now is TKO, which is the same people that own UFC.
Gotcha.
So they're able to just open it as soon as they get off the network television, right? Because right now they're stretching what they could do on network television. They just started making people bleed on TV again. You know, because USA said, "All right, we'll allow it." So they got back to the cursing on TV, and there was a lot of things they're changing now. Now that Vince is gone, and Triple H is taking over the business.
Oh yeah, okay, I got you.
He's got to show like I'm back to being invested in wrestling like I was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I'm kind of invested like peripherally. You know what I'm saying? Because I like what they're doing with some of the women, specifically some of the black women. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
And I really hope that Jade Cargill can live up to the hype. Because if she does, she could take the women's game to a whole nother level. Because she already has a big following. She had a big following on social media before she even came into, like, she already had a brand and a name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I just hope that hope she's not another Goldberg.
No, I think she's actually got talent. She's gonna get better and better. She was actually discovered by Mark Henry. He got her.
Mark Sex with Chocolate, the world's strongest man. I remember him, man. I don't like what they did his character in the '90s, but that's a different story for a different day. But I think, that's when
He brought her into AEW. Once
Mm-hmm.
her contract was up, she signed with WWE. And she's one of those too where as soon as she signed with WWE, the talk was everybody couldn't wait for her to debut. And they were smart about it and they held it for as long as possible. And then they finally made her debut, and now she's a tag team champion with Bianca Belair. And it's a beautiful thing they're doing with her. And they got her in the Queen of the Ring tournament. She won her first round match tonight. I actually watched, for those who didn't know, I actually watched the entire SmackDown show while streaming. So, I was watching and streaming at the same time, trying to do my best to multitask. But what they're doing with women's wrestling, by far, I mean, no other era touches.
I think women is one of those things to where most everything's been done in men's wrestling. That's why I feel like if she does what, I don't know if she's gonna live up to the hype per se, but if she does what she can, because it's so untapped, she can take it to a whole nother stratosphere. They don't need to try to recreate what they did in the 90s. They need to try to figure out something different they could do with the men. You know what I'm saying? What that is, I don't know. I'm not a wrestling writer or can know storylines and stuff like that. But I think they kind of need to center the winner. It's gonna be hard to do because most wrestling fans are white male teenagers or older white males. Yeah. Internet incels who can be some of the most racist, vile, same thing with UFC, toxic people in the world. But if they do things right with Jade Cargill, with the following that she has, and the untapped Black women who don't watch wrestling like that, man, you talking about? Yeah, but
they already started it.
Yeah.
They started to touch it with Bianca Belair, but Jade Cargill is a bigger star, which is, I know it's hard for a lot of people to believe, and it's crazy to say because she hasn't been wrestling for long, but she's got a huge following, like you said.
Yeah,
she's it's just something about her character in itself, like her personality,
her body. She played. So I'm in Jacksonville right now. She played basketball at the University of Jacksonville. She's from Florida. You know what I'm saying? But I've been following. I've been on, and so going to dental school older. Got put into social media because a lot of my classmates are younger. That's how we communicated. So I've been on Instagram since Instagram started in 2011 and 12. She was one of the first Instagram models, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so she was able to build that follow. That's how she has that name, and she's known because a lot of people follow her because she's a basketball player. And she had a six-pack. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things where she was attractive. And like I say, Mark Henry discovered her, and she already had a following. So yeah, you take her following that she had from social media, and you put her on in wrestling, and she's a halfway decent wrestler, and you play to her strengths and don't ask her to do things that she can't do. You know what I'm saying? I think that it can work. You know what I'm saying? She's a great athlete. She's a Division I basketball player.
Bianca Belair kind of started the same way, which is why it's convenient that they have them teamed up right now. Because Bianca was a power lifter, I think she was.
Okay.
And she played in multiple sports. So they took her, and she's this athlete. It's like she's strong. She doesn't have the same. Her body isn't the same tone it was when she first came in. She was built like Jade Cargill when she first came in.
Gotcha.
So those two. So as soon as Jade Cargill got into wrestling in AEW, it was like, oh my gosh, the parallel is there. We got to see Bianca and Jade in the same company, and at some point they got to wrestle. But I love that they've put them together. So Bianca, because now she's been in the game longer, she's kind of got things down pat. They're like, okay, we're gonna put you with Bianca. She's gonna help you. You know what I mean? Y'all gonna have a tag team title. She's gonna help you learn the ropes. And then once they get big enough as a team, and the egos get big enough, let them separate, and then they go ahead and go at it. That's going to be a WrestleMania main event.
Now, let me ask you this, Reg, man. Do you think Jade has the charisma to be a good heel? Cause that's what they setting her up for.
Absolutely.
Her personality outside of it, like she's very, 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 very fluid. You know what I'm saying? And when I say fluid, she's very, very charismatic. Very,
Yep.
To me, from what I've seen, I don't know if she's gotten better. Like I said, I haven't watched it like that, but from what I've seen in her, she's come here, Coco. She seems like she's acting. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like so it's not believable. She's not.
yeah,
She doesn't seem like she's a. She seems like she's too. Even though she's a very confident person, she doesn't seem like she's naturally, um, um, naturally. I could say she don't seem like she's naturally bitchy. You understand
yeah.
what I'm saying?
No,
Yeah. So when she tries to do it,
she's not.
it seems forced.
She's not, and I think that's one of the things. That's why they started out as a face in WWE because they're smart. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, you got the fact, you got the following. People want to cheer for you. Go out there and just be you. And that's what she's been doing. And you can see it. She's coming out there. She's flexing. She's smiling. She's like, when she's in interviews, she's talking like a black female. You know what I'm saying? A
Mm-hmm.
powerful black female in a high spot. She'll say to Bianca, they don't expect us, women of our color, to be where we are. Like she's able to say those things in interviews. And you can see that natural charisma she has coming out.
But will
You know
that
what I mean?
translate as a heel though?
As a hit, that's the thing I think they're waiting to work on. I
Yeah,
think actually at this point, I think if they're going to turn somebody heel, I think they're going to turn Bianca heel.
has to be because it seems she seems too. I think that's the issue. I think stature wise, she would be better as a heel. I just feel like when she's trying to be, it just seems too forced. You know what I'm saying? So
And
it's one of those things to where they should have. I think, it's hard to do because it's hard to do that because she's a black woman. But I think they should have did with. I don't know if you remember the whole story behind who was the guy who was the wrestler who was the Olympic wrestler that Vince McMahon was like, I'm gonna make you the most hated man, and he was like all USA, and to the point that
yep,
people turned on him.
yep.
I I would wonder if they could try to do something like I don't know if that would work either, man. Maybe it will take some time, or maybe they have to pivot or make her an anti-heel or whatnot. But but maybe you're right. Maybe they're gonna have to make the other lady the heel. I just I just don't know how that's gonna work because she don't have the same stature as Jade does. You know what I'm saying?
So Bianca's
So
still Bianca was looked at how Jade is looked at before Jade came into WWE. Right?
mhm.
She's strong, she's got the stature, she's got the look. Jade is just more cut up at this point.
Yeah,
But she's been a heel before. Bianca was a very good heel.
that's what I'm saying. But
So
she seems more natural. You know, it's like
yeah,
she just I don't. It's just something that's just not. Maybe I'm just tripping. I don't know. It just, but
no, no, you're right.
it's almost cringy, dude. Honestly, when
You,
she tries to
you're
do it.
you're right because that's what the problem was in AEW. Is that they didn't know how to use her as a heel. She couldn't talk right on the mic, and it was very forced, and it was very. She was trying to seem smug when
That's
she
not her
really
personality.
had a good time.
Yeah, it's not her
So I
personality.
think she has to get some years in the game and get the right tutoring to be able to make that natural heel turn. But I think they keep her face, and I think they turn if they're going to break that team up. Maybe I say you let them rock out for about a year as a team. If you're going to break them up, you got to have Bianca be the one that turns heel.
Well,
Right?
let me ask you this: you know wrestling? Whatever happened to Mark Jannetty, man? Because it was Shawn Michaels and Mark Jannetty and the Rockers.
Yep.
Whatever happened to him?
So what happened once Shawn Michaels put his head through that glass? That was pretty much the end of Marty's career because he didn't have the charisma. They didn't have he tried. They brought him up. He stayed in his same rocker gear, like he never changed his character. He stayed in his rocker gear and he tried to fight Shawn Michaels while Shawn was in his new character. And it's like you're looking at the one guy's moved into the future and you're still in the past. And then he stayed in that. He didn't want to go heel. And the fans he wasn't clicking with the fans. So his character kind of just died out. They were like, Marty, we're not really feeling you. We kind of moved on because at that point, you would say that's close to the beginning of where the Attitude Era started to slowly kick in because the fans liked the guys like the bad guys like Shawn Michaels. You know, they ended up liking Diesel when he was a bad guy and all that. And it just didn't Marty didn't fit in anymore, right? So he was basically think of Bret Hart without the legacy, right? Without the Hart Foundation and
He
without
fizzled too, though, man. But he fell
you know
out
what I mean?
with Vince McMahon, though, too.
So and Bret Hart, one of Bret Hart's problems was they felt Bret Hart was stale and he was past his time.
He was.
Right? And he was at that point. And he didn't want to be a heel anymore. He told Vince, I don't want to be a heel. You know, and he so when he got into that whole beef with Stone Cold, it was like, hey, I don't want to be a heel. He's supposed to that story, Bret Hart was supposed to be the face.
Mm-hmm.
And Stone Cold was supposed to be the bad guy. But the fans turned on him. It was like, we like this guy.
It was this
guy that don't like the boss.
Yeah, it was a different time, man. Stone Cold, I don't know whether he did it on purpose, but Stone Cold is the poster child for white American male masculinity.
Yeah,
and I think that's why he was so popular during that time, because at that time, people like that feel, even though every hero on every show is a white male, they didn't feel like they had anybody that they can relate to, and I think that's what made him so popular.
So it was funny because they took a survey back then on why Stone Cold was so popular, and the survey came back and everybody was like, dude, he beats up on his boss. Like, we all wish we could whoop our boss's ass. That's exactly what they said.
Mm-hmm.
That was what they said in that poll. So it was one of those things where it just, at the time, it was a world of rebellion. Nobody liked their boss. Nobody liked being yelled at or bossed around. And that was another story where the fans dictated who was heel and who was face, because the story was supposed to be Stone Cold with this heel who just didn't care what people thought. He was this butthole and he didn't want to listen to the boss. And the boss was, trying to keep guys, the bad guys in check. And then they switched. The fans picked up, was like, oh man, this guy doesn't care what the boss thinks. He's throwing up middle fingers and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
This guy's the good guy. Let's go with him. Same thing happened with DX. DX was supposed to be heels, clowns. They're running around. They don't take anything serious. Never going to be anywhere in life. Degenerates, right? But the fans was like, hey, we love this. These guys are telling guys to suck it.
So dope, dog. So dope. Let me ask you this, though, man. A question with Shawn Michaels. Do you think any other wrestler has gotten more out of their body and more out of the business out of something so little than Shawn Michaels? Because he's not the biggest guy. He wasn't the best technical wrestler, but he turned out to be one. He turned out to be one of the biggest stars in the history of, in wrestling. And you would never think somebody of that, because most during that time the biggest guys, you know what I'm saying. Other than Ultimate Warrior is not that big, but he was roided up and he couldn't wrestle either. Yeah, but somebody like Shawn, who essentially he represented charisma at its 100% fine. And for him to go from Shawn Michael, half of the Rockers, to the Heartbreak Kid, that's it's unheard of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So with Shawn, right? Obviously he had the charisma, but he had his in-ring presence. And it first started off when you've seen a lot of times, and a lot of people don't notice, Shawn would oversell sometimes in the ring. And it got to a point where overselling got popular. So that became a thing where
he would oversell more than Ric Flair.
Important. Yeah. Like he would do that. Like he was worse than Ric Flair at times.
Oh, know about that. Ric Flair with the flipping over the ropes and
listen, I saw one. You can look it up. Shawn got thrown into the ropes. He was fighting Hulk Hogan. He did it intentionally because he didn't want to fight Hulk Hogan, or it was something where Hulk Hogan wanted to win the match a certain way or something like that. So to piss Hogan off, he was doing stuff intentionally in the ring. And Hogan was like, oh, I don't like all that overselling stuff and all that other stuff. So Hogan threw him into the turnbuckle. This dude hit the turnbuckle, flipped in the air, came back down, went over the turnbuckle, walked down the ring, stepped back in, walked to the middle ring, then fell to the ground.
That's Ric
Like
Flair. Ric Flair was doing that in the 80s.
Like, yeah, I know. I remember Flair doing it, but he was doing it worse the entire match. It was like every hit Hogan would punch him, he'd drop all the way down to the ground, bounce back up, drop all the way down to the ground, bounce back up. Like, instead of the normal, but like he'd fall all the way down, get back up. It was ridiculous. It was the most ridiculous selling I had ever seen. But the question about him getting a lot out of his body, he did. And I think the next person that's doing that reminds me of Sean is Seth Rollins currently, because this dude was wrestling with like a torn meniscus or something like that for like the last year or something like that, the last 6 months.
I don't know.
And he can go. Like, that dude gets in the ring and he can go. If Seth Rollins is coming to the ring, you know you're going to see an excellent match. That's what I felt about Shawn Michaels, right? He can put on a show in the ring, and that's what made him so great. And he did, man. He stretched what he had. Like, he wasn't, like you said, he wasn't the greatest technical wrestler. But he made you, when you watched one of his matches, you knew you were in for a show. And that's what he was. It was amazing.
Let me ask y'all. Since now we on wrestling, let me ask you this question. Who do y'all think had the most ridiculous finishing move? I say Hulk Hogan. That leg drop was trash.
It's hard to fight that one. It's hard.
I was going to say the Ultimate Warrior when he had that thing. He had like all 4 ropes and did the whole.
Oh, and then did the little splash thing.
Yeah,
right. And then that was the longest finisher in history.
He couldn't wrestle though, bro. He could only do a certain amount of moves.
Yeah,
it was terrible. I still remember when I remember watching it's just the first pay-per-view my parents ever let us order. SummerSlam '88 when he fought the Honky Tonk Man, where they had this whole thing where is anybody going to come from out and because apparently Brutus Beefcake got suspended or whatever. They started to say he was injured, and Honky Tonk Man didn't have anybody to fight, and then out of nowhere comes the Ultimate Warrior and beats him in 30 seconds, and then they made him the champion. But it's like they said the reason why they did that is because he couldn't wrestle.
He didn't go long matches. He could look at the perfect example. One of my favorite times in wrestling history. I was an Ultimate Warrior fan, even though I knew he couldn't wrestle. Just the character alone is what I like. But look back at the match with him and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. I think it was WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 4, one of those. Him and Hogan, he was the first ever double champion, WWF champion and Intercontinental champion at the same time. But if you look back at that match, you can see like all they did was, they did the Greco-Roman knuckles and they body slammed each other and clotheslines.
He barely lifted them up.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous. And he had
with Hogan when there was a WCW and nobody in the NWO could see Ultimate Warrior except for Hogan.
I remember that too. That
shit was terrible. He pop up, beat the brakes off of Hogan with the whole NWO standing there like, what's going on? And then disappear.
And he but if you remember too, he had a match where he never took his jacket off. He had that long draping jacket and never took it off the whole match. Wrestled the whole match with his jacket on. I was like, what are they doing? I was like, what is WCW doing? Why is he even in the ring this long? I mean, just another example of bad wrestling. Go look at Goldberg's match against William Regal. That's when Goldberg got
he was 151-0. Remember that?
He was undefeated, but it was all 30-second matches. And then he tried to go longer against William Regal. He was stumbling over the ring. He didn't know how to do stuff, and you could see it. Like, and people were like, "Oh my god!" In this match now.
But then didn't William Regal do that to prove a point?
No. So William Regal had an interview. He told the story. He said, "So I'm in the back, and they came up to me. They said, 'Hey, William, we want you to go put on a match with Goldberg.'" He's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, just go put on, a little 5-minute match with Goldberg. You're one of the better competitors. You're a great technical wrestler. We want to get him, do something different with him rather than him just running through people." He said, so he went to Goldberg and he went to talk to Goldberg about the match. He's like, "Oh my God, this guy doesn't know a thing about wrestling." So they go to management. They're like, how are we going to do this? I can't carry him through a 5-minute match. And he's like, they went out there and he just did the best he could. But he's like, he was missing holds. He's stumbling. And Goldberg was one of those guys that he was so bad in the ring, he would get people hurt. And he was just like, he was like, at the time, he's like, he didn't have no problem with doing it because they asked him to do it. He's like, management asked me to do it, so I wanted to do it. But he was like, it was probably one of the hardest nights he's had in wrestling.
I believe him because he was I didn't like it. I thought he was I wouldn't call him a jobber, but he was like, know what I'm saying? Yeah, but he could wrestle a little bit. But it's like WCW had great value wrestlers. We all know that. Y'all remember Rack the Man?
Yeah.
Johnny B. Bad.
They had a bunch of guys that every one of their top guys was just WWF regions. Like guys that were there and then their time was up, so they went to WCW. Like Johnny B. Bad, when he was in WWF, Mark Merrill. Yeah, I remember. His time was up, he went to WCW.
Yeah. I like at least they had the courage to make Ron Simmons even though he was boring, but they made Ron Simmons the champion and kind of actually played on him being the first black champion. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just one of those things to where that was my childhood. You couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't tell me I was watching the bet. Like I said, I still remember like my parents allowed us to my dad ordered SummerSlam 80. Was it SummerSlam 88 was the first SummerSlam?
I
remember watching that one. I remember watching I remember when we saw, I'm telling on myself. Y'all remember the movie No Holds Barred?
Yes.
And they did the whole thing. They did the whole thing with Tiny Zeus Lester.
Yeah.
So because they were promoting the movie. I remember watching that. Man, all that stuff. Seeing the Undertaker, the Birdman, Coco Beware. You know what I'm saying? Junkyard Dog, Kamala. Even though that was racist. What's crazy? I was an adult till I realized that Akeem was a white dude. That he wasn't black.
Oh yeah, that's one man gang. Akeem was one man gang.
When I was a kid, I thought it was a black dude.
And then he ended up being Tugboat.
Oh, I remember Tugboat. Was it Tugboat?
He had that Suge complex. He was 40% black.
He was one man gang. He was Akeem, he was Tugboat, and he was Typhoon when he teamed with Earthquake.
Okay.
And they were the natural descent.
I remember most of it is Typhoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember. I didn't know that Yokozuna wasn't Japanese.
Samoan. I didn't know either back in the day. I didn't know either.
I didn't know none of that stuff, man. And the Iron Sheik really wasn't from Russia. Was it the Iron Sheik that wasn't? It was one of those that played.
I think the Iron Sheik was supposed to be Middle Eastern.
Yeah, he was. Iron Sheik was Middle Eastern. It was you're thinking of not I think it was one of the Volkovs. It was one of the Volkovs. Wasn't actually Russian. He was American.
Yeah, I remember the Von Erichs, Kerry Von Erich. You can tell me Tito Santana. Y'all remember him?
Yeah.
He was so trash.
If you really think about it, and I said this to one of my buddies. Yeah, I said this to one of my buddies. If you really think about it, a lot of the wrestlers were terrible back then.
Oh my god!
Right? They couldn't really wrestle.
Ricky Steamboat wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. He was one of the few though. Ricky Steamboat.
Who was Superfly Jimmy Snuka? Why he ain't had no shoes on, man?
He was the only one back then that ain't wear shoes either.
I know, man. I know. Doc, we grew up in the golden era of wrestling, man. We saw all of the greats. You know what I'm saying? Oh, another one with the trash finishing move, Randy Muscle Man Savage. I used to like his promo.
I didn't mind the elbow drop. I didn't have a problem with the elbow drop.
Super trash, dude. So I'm just gonna lay there and let you jump off the top rope and hit me with a.
That was my problem. That was my problem with Logic. Like, why didn't he just get up? Or why didn't they move?
Yeah,
I wasn't problem.
Was the same thing.
I think once you connect, it's like I feel like it was a pretty good move. Overdrop to the heart.
But you can actually kill somebody if you jump off if you jump off the.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I thought it was a pretty good finishing move because I was like, somebody don't want me to elbow me in my chest. I'd lay there for 3 seconds too and get pinned. So I thought it worked as a finisher. It was though one of those things where you got to do enough to wear me down. It actually made me not want to move when I'm laying there, like you got to lay me out before you do that.
To me, I think one of the most disheartening characters was I used to love, even though growing up as a kid, I used to love Ted DiBiase, but what they did with Virgil,
Yeah, mm-hmm.
and then he turned on him, and then he went crawling back to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, yeah.
Virgil in
NWO
real life,
lackey.
outside of WWE, actually said some racist stuff about black people. He was very much I hate to use this term, but he was very much a coon.
I think I believe it. I think I did some every now and again I go on a a nostalgia tour and start going down and a lot of these so I think I was watching there's a lot of guys who have wrestling podcasts and they'll get some of the older wrestlers on. That's how I didn't realize that One Man Gang and Hakeem was the same person, because by then I had stopped watching wrestling like that. And so I was watching somebody do an interview with them, and apparently I don't know, I think didn't Virgil just die recently? Didn't he pass?
I think so, a couple years ago.
Yeah. So that's what made me kind of go on the go down the rabbit hole, man. But yeah, man, my brother-in-law is he's a DJ down here in Jacksonville, but we're kind of like we joke all the time that if because our wives are sisters, and so we joke all the time if I would ever break up or you would ever break up, that we can't break up with each other because we all into the same things. We're into wrestling. He's a 49er fan. I'm a Buccaneer fan. We both in the comics. He's more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just one of those things that we talked about doing a whole podcast thing together. But yeah, he's the one that he's the one that's kind of got me up to date with all the rest of the stuff that's going on. I'm kind of in and out of it, but he's kind of got me up to date, man.
Stuff going. This whole bloodline story it's crazy because for a little while it started to get stale, and they found a way to keep it fresh. And I love what they're doing with it. They're using, and it's because they're actually family members. It works even better because with the internet you can go look up and like, oh, they really are related. Like this really is their blood they're putting on. So WWE, big ups to them. Triple H signing all the guys that's close to that family, and that is family members.
Let me. How do you feel about The Rock being back involved in wrestling? You think that that's a good thing, or you think they should kind of focus on the newer people? So
the way they're doing it kind of works, right? He was there for a little while. He's not there now, but he's like, I'll be back. Like, don't think I'm not coming back. So the way they're doing it works because they're still putting the focus on the guys that's there, and the younger guys, they're really only using Rock as part of this like bloodline story. And so it works because he's big on family. So his character seems more like, it seems more in with the times than most guys that would, you bring in most guys from an older era, their character don't really seem to fit.
Yeah.
But because you're talking about his blood and the way his character was in the first place, where his name was Rocky Maivia, he was in there from day one. It was about family for him. So to bring him in to kind of solidify where they're at right now, it kind of works. Like most of the time, I'd say no, get him off the screen. But he performed pretty well in his match at WrestleMania, and he's still, I guess, he's as good on the mic right now as he ever been. So
he's probably better now than he was.
Like he was doing his thing, but now he's gone. He's gonna be gone for a while, and it works because while he's gone, you're still building up the younger guys, and you're like, this is the future of the bloodline, and you're talking about these other guys, and it works, man. It just works. Whether he's there or not, it'll be fine. WWE will be fine, but the way they brought him back works. If they brought him back for a one-off against somebody, I'd be like, that was a waste of time. I don't want to see The Rock.
So would you consider The Rock the greatest of all time?
No. Not even close. I love The Rock, but
Not
I
not
love
not even the most famous.
most famous.
And that's because of course he's not the best wrestler. That's not what I'm that's not the one.
Drake is the most famous, but Kendrick is better.
Agreed. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. But most famous, I'd still say Stone Cold's got him beat. I'd still say Stone Cold's got him beat. I know Rock does all the movies, and all that stuff, but I think when you think wrestling, when you think wrestling, that first name that comes up, Stone Cold. I mean, for years
You
it
know
was
Hulk Hogan.
For years it was Hogan, but now Stone Cold name comes up before Hogan's when you talk wrestling, and like Stone Cold's name is that big now in wrestling.
That's crazy.
So,
I would have never thought Stunning Steve Austin.
return right, right.
It's Styling Steve.
It's crazy.
That's crazy, man. I would
Styling Steve.
So he was Styling and Stunning Steve.
It was Styling Steve Austin. That's what he started as. He might have changed it to Stunning, but originally he was Styling Steve Austin.
Well, I
in WWE he was Stunning Steve Austin. In WCW, I believe he was Styling Steve Austin when he teamed up with Brian Pillman, and they were the Hollywood Blondes.
Flying Brian. I remember Flying Brian Pillman. It's funny because I was I guess it was a conversation about wrestlers and football players, and I had to school these young dudes on Twitter and tell them like, bro, most wrestlers, I guess they were saying that they were trying to use the example of Brock Lesnar not making it with the Vikings, and wrestlers can never be football players. I'm like, dude, the majority of wrestlers back in the day started as football players.
Yeah,
I had the name like Brian I said it wrong. Brian Pillman played in the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I think it was Brian Pillman played in the NFL. Ron Simmons didn't play. He played in college. I don't think he played in the league. But there was a lot of guys.
There's a lot of
football player too.
If you look at there's a dude that wrestles now. He's been wrestling for a couple years for WWE now. Baron Corbin is his wrestling name. He was just starting tackle for the Cardinals for years, and left the NFL and went to WWE.
Yeah, I believe it, man. I believe it, dog. It's just crazy, man, to see. Because I remember the Nation of Domination. I don't remember Tarak in Nation of Domination.
He was new.
Yeah, he was a later. Yeah. Well, he was in it, but he was a later iteration in the Nation.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't, and I don't even remember his character before when he came out as Rocky Maivia. But I have issues with that.
That's when he was in Nation.
Yeah.
No. It was after Rocky Maivia that he was in the Nation.
Yeah.
So he was Rocky Maivia. Then he joined the Nation, and he kind of grew out of Rocky Maivia into The Rock while he was with the Nation.
But
that's what I'm saying. He was with the Nation when he became The Rock, but Rocky Maivia joined the Nation, and then he became The Rock. I mean, he was still Rocky Maivia. He wasn't on the mic. He was him, the Godfather, and I forgot who it was another dude. They would just stand there while Farouk was talking.
D-Lo.
And then
I remember D-Lo Brown.
And then as Rocky Maivia started to take off, he stopped wearing those feathers and stuff to the ring, like the headdress and stuff to the ring. And then he became The Rock. And when he became The Rock, that's when he became a heel and he broke away from them.
But
he didn't break away at first. He took over as the leader first. And he kind of kicked Farouk out. But then eventually broke away, yeah.
But my issue with The Rock is his dad was the wrestler. His dad's last name was Johnson. Why Rocky Maivia? And then you join, so you come out as Rocky Maivia. You in the Nation of Domination. But as famous as he is over the last 30 years, you wouldn't know that he was a black man.
No, he plays more towards his Samoan side.
It's the same way, and and honestly, I hate to say it, that was the best thing for the popularity of his career. But for him, I just feel like he's made it a point to be racially ambiguous. He's done the Derek Jeter way, because you wouldn't know Derek Jeter was black either.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? You're not wrong, because I say it all the time. Me and my buddy would go over. We would try to get a list together of black world champions.
He's never listed, even though he's black.
People would say The Rock, and I'm like, nah, I don't count him.
Yeah, but
He's
but he
small.
but he don't. He's not even listed as black world champions because
No.
the thing. Yeah, because the thing is that because it's always noted that because who was the guy that won it? Was it Kofi? I don't know how to say his name.
Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, and then he wasn't even champion for a long time. But as long as Booker T was in WWF, he was never champion. They never.
Yeah, he was
the
world
WCW champion.
WWF. Yeah, but he was the WCW
But
world
he was
champion.
he was never
WWE champion.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so you don't. It's one of those things. So it's like Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter's dad is black. Nobody considers Derek Jeter black.
Yeah.
And Derek Jeter will not tell you he's black.
Yeah.
Just like we don't.
Like
it's
also like Naomi Osaka. She was considered a black tennis player. Boy, she beat Serena, and 92 seconds later, it was listed as her being Asian.
But the thing is, the reason why she was listed as Asian is because she had to choose a country that was going to sponsor her.
Right. No, before that, she was considered a black tennis player. Once she beat Serena, and you can look it up even on Wikipedia, as soon as she beat Serena, somebody edited that shit to say she is Asian.
I know. I
black.
I agree. I know. I'm in agreement. I'm just saying, but why she chose to play for Japan for the money. You know what I'm saying? And then she corrected them because they were asking her about that, and she corrected them and said that she was raised by her Asian grandmother. So she herself out of her mouth never ran away from her blackness, right. But she had to represent Japan because that's who paid for her training, for her to get to where she was. So that's why they did that.
Yeah, it's a big.
She didn't do it. She did it she did that part as a technicality for business reasons. My point with people like Derek Jeter. And I had to get off a tangent going on Derek Jeter, but The Rock, they're like conduits to each other. And I think it's one of those things that's done a disservice because The Rock, with as big as he was in wrestling, and him running from his blackness, he could have did more. He could have done so much for black people in wrestling. Just like Derek Jeter could have did so much for young black kids in baseball to the point baseball is irrelevant now. You wouldn't need reviving baseball in the inner cities if Derek Jeter was embracing his blackness. There would be more, and even if The Rock were like, okay, yeah, he wasn't a nation of domination, but he made it a point to distance himself. And then once he became The Rock, even if you look at the movies that he's played in, has he ever had a black female lead as his in any of his movies? Or any black children? No.
I think he didn't have a black kid in Tooth Fairy? No.
Fast and Furious. I thought the girl in Fast and Furious was black.
Was she? Well, I stand corrected. I stopped watching Fast and Furious after Too Fast, Too Furious. Once they started going to Tokyo and the moon, that was too much for me.
Yeah, no, they definitely took that. I ain't seen not one. Do whatever they wanted with that.
I ain't seen not one since after Paul Wall. I didn't see the one with Bow Wow and Tokyo Drift. I was like, what is this? It's almost like it went from Too Fast, Too Furious to Fast and Furious 7 to me. And I still ain't seen them. I refuse
to. The crazy part is that the first 7 movies aren't even in the first 5 movies aren't even in order.
No, they're not.
Like Tokyo Drift takes place after Fast and Furious 5 or something like that. After Fast 5.
Yeah, they bounced them all around.
When did because I'm telling my age. So the Fast and Furious is one of the first DVDs I ever owned when I got a PlayStation 2.
So there's Fast and Furious. There's Too Fast, Too Furious.
I saw that. I saw the first two.
Then after that, there's Tokyo the one where there's the one where you have Luda, Paul,
and Bow Wow, right?
Tyrese, and Vin Diesel. that's actually the third movie, and then I think
Wasn't that the
it is
first
the
one?
one.
No,
The
that was
first one was
the
when it
third
was
one.
just him and Paul.
The
Okay.
first one was
Fourth
just Vin
one,
Diesel and Paul. The
right? And the
second one
fourth
was
one,
Tyrese and Paul.
I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out when did it become a $1 billion franchise?
after Fast 4 or Fast 5,
Once they
because
turned it
that's
into
when that's so pretty much after the first two Fast and Furious. The reason after the first Fast and Furious, the reason that what's his name, that Vin Diesel disappears is because he actually goes and meets Han. So after Tokyo Drift, when he comes back and he's like, I'm an old friend of Han's, that's because Tokyo Drift is actually like the 5th movie in the series. Like, yeah, it's a whole like I'd have to go Google something with
Did they
like the order
retcon
you're
it?
supposed to watch them. And when he's like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is like number 5 or 6.
So it's when they went
basically,
to Asia is when it became a $1 billion franchise.
I think the movie right after that.
Gotcha. It's crazy because, like I said, I enjoyed at least the first one. The second one was okay.
that's because it was actually about racing. It was actually
Yeah.
about cars.
Okay. The first one, I thought the first one was
After
dope,
that, it
though.
became an action movie. Like it was no longer
Yeah,
about
it was.
cars and racing.
I mean, that's good for the franchise, but it's like once Paul Walker passed, I was Gucci. I didn't need, and
Yeah,
then I went out to college.
I
And I
think
had no
that's
money to
Fast
the movie.
7.
I don't think I've seen any since he passed. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think I've seen that one.
I thought so. I didn't. So he was in fast movies after the first two.
Yeah, Paul Walker.
Yeah,
Paul Walker
was
has
in
more movies in the series
the
than
first, like,
anybody else.
5 or 6 of them.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he died after the second one.
From I think the only
He was
one
in
that
every
he had
single
missed
one.
before he died was Tokyo Drift. Tokyo Drift was the
That's
only
the
one
only one
Paul
he
Walker
wasn't in.
was in.
And that's because Tokyo Drift originally wasn't supposed to be a part of the original Fast and
It
Furious
wasn't supposed to be
series.
part of their universe.
Yeah, they retconned it in later, which is why
That's
it's so
why it's
out of
like
order
movie
like
number
that.
5.
So did they call it Fast and Furious, or they just call it Tokyo Drift?
They
It's
called it
Fast and
Tokyo
Furious
Drift. That's
Tokyo
it.
Drift. Nah, it's Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's one of those things to where it was basically a different movie, but they attached Fast and Furious in it so that people go see it.
Right.
Mhm.
They rewrote it, and that's why the series is out of order because of that movie.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay.
They had to
I got you.
retcon it in to make it make sense, and that's what they did. They ended up deciding to do the post credit scene where with Paul Walker, not Paul Walker, sorry, with Vin Diesel pulling up at the end in the parking garage.
Oh, Vin Diesel.
So,
Vin Diesel, another one, racially ambiguous black man. he done played everything.
A lot of them
man.
out there. If you're gonna keep looking, I'm telling you, it's a lot of them.
Look, he been Italian. He been white. He done played Spanish characters. He done played aliens, and he still ain't black.
No, that's crazy. And he's well, I guess he's from the West Coast, so I mean they can have all those different, you know what I'm saying, different nationalities in them, so that way they can play all those different characters. Now he's another one is that I would have never thought that would be as playing as many movies as successful. It's just crazy to see this whole.
Almost all his roles are the same, though.
Yeah, but it's just
known for not coming back to do sequels. Pitch Black, he didn't come back to do a sequel for that. The first Fast and Furious, they couldn't get him to come back to do the sequel. Before Fast and Furious, I think Riddick is the first one that he did the sequel to, and he begged them to do a sequel to that one. That was the first movie that he actually did a sequel to. He would do a movie and be like, I'm not coming back for a second one.
How'd y'all feel about that movie?
Which one?
Riddick. It was okay.
Never watched it. I like Triple X though. I thought that's a guilty pleasure. I like them.
That's why Ice Cube was in the next Triple X, because Vin Diesel always refused to do a second movie.
Mm-hmm.
He fell in love with Riddick, and then he fell in love with Fast and Furious, and that's the only reason he came back to Fast and Furious.
But you know what's crazy to me though is like a lot of those movies from like 99 and 2000. I feel like when you look at them now, they were low budget movies. You know what I'm saying? But they set the standard for a lot of movies that came after. Especially if you go back and look at 90s movies. It almost looked like they didn't spend any money on those movies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They did spend a lot of money on them, but for whatever reason, for them, they seem like they're kind of low budget. they withstood the test of time. Like I can go back and watch Boomerang over and over and over and over again.
Great, fantastic movie.
Love Jones, even though the movie it's a movie about nothing, and if you really break down the plot, it's a stupid plot. I could watch it over and over and over and over again. Never
You
get
know what I
bored.
watch over and over again?
What's
One
that?
of my favorite movies of all time. One of the first black superheroes to hit the big screen. Blank Man. You can't get me to
No,
not
it's a
watch.
classic. Blank Man and Meteor Man.
Yeah, love it.
Blank
Love
Man
it.
is
You can't
Blank
get me
Man
to
is
not watch.
one of my favorite. Another one too. Low Down Dirty Shame.
Yep.
Classic. I almost forgot. The best,
Watching
one of
Harley
the
Davidson
best,
movie.
one of the best shot movies of all time. One of the worst acting movies, but I can watch it 100 times over to this day. It's like a 2-hour music video. Belly.
Yes. 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 You're
What do you
not
call
wrong.
those?
I can watch that over and over
You
again.
sleeping on that?
Say that again.
Sleeping on Booty Call?
Oh
No,
I
Booty
saw
Call's up
I
there too.
saw
I
Booty
watched
Call
that
in
over and over again
the movie
too.
theater. But the thing is, it's just hard to take Jamie Foxx seriously with his hair like that.
Look,
that's one
I
reason why I
took
can't-
Gambit seriously with his hair like that in X-Men 97. As soon as I seen it, I couldn't do nothing
That's a
for you. I'm
cartoon, though.
sorry.
That's a cartoon, though.
When I saw that, I was done with your boy.
Yeah, now I feel you, man.
The
Another one,
halter top in the hair, I was like, what in the hell happened to Remy?
but but see, that's true. See, you threw me off for a second. But that's why I'm glad that we grew up when we did, because back when we grew up, every movie that came out in the movie theater did not have to be a blockbuster.
You're right.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed
That's
the first couple black Fast and the Furious movies. Like you there's no way you can go see a. Remember Low Down Dirty Shame? I saw it in theater too. But Thin Line Between Love and Hate, movie like that doesn't get made nowadays. Not in the movie theater. That's going right
one thing that I was
It's a
watching.
Netflix
So I
original
got
now.
right. I got Stream Boss, and it's so many movies that you see like you see these big actors in, and you're like, I never knew that they even did B level movies like this, because they're still making $20 million doing big movies. I'm like, but I never heard of this movie coming out. And they'd be like, new release 2024. This movie came out 2 weeks
Good
ago.
movies,
You
too.
know about it? And it'd be a
Maybe
bomb
good.
movie. You'd be like, bro, what in the hell? Like, wow, this movie should have been in theaters. I would have seen this in theaters.
That's how it is with a lot of Netflix originals.
Yeah, but a lot of people are taking their movies to these smaller streaming services, because nowadays, and because Spike Lee said it best a couple of years ago, that if you're not making you're not making a blockbuster movie, it's either got to be a movie that they're not spending any movie on, like Blumhouse, because Blumhouse has they got a formula that they're not spending more than $3 million, and they want to make 60. So it's either they want to spend $3 million to make 60, or they're trying to spend $200 million to try to either to hopefully make $1 billion.
Yeah.
And there's it's like there's no in between. You know what I'm saying? So you don't see a movie like Dead Presidents that was on the big screen, or Jason's Lyric that was on the big screen, or Blank Man, or Meteor Man. The five, like me and my wife watched the 5 Heartbeats like 3 weeks ago. Like, that movie is timeless.
Yes.
A lot of people laugh at it, but Bruce Lee was The Last Dragon.
Who was I talking to who said that was a terrible movie?
Probably Suge or Brodney.
I don't remember who I was talking
because they hate
to.
everything.
But
you don't get
It's Alaskans, so it don't count.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the icebox where his heart should be.
That's funny. But it's like you don't see movies like that anymore.
Nah,
So it's like
they don't make them anymore.
And so to your point, why you see those big time actors playing those roles, because these actors aren't making as much money as people think that they are. You know what I'm saying?
Anymore.
So in order for them to be able to pay their rent or to pay their mortgage or to pay their car note, they need to be doing movies, especially after COVID. You know what I'm saying? And Disney's all these big studios are starting to cut back on what they're making. You know, and so it's one of those things to where, like, yeah, they got to go to where the money is, and that's why I'm happy for streaming services like Netflix, even though Netflix is starting to get hella expensive, it's probably gonna be $40 in the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I don't know what it's at now. It's at like 15 now or something like that.
It's I think it's 2020 for the. I have to look at it, but it might
I
be
know
over
they
20.
got like different versions now. You get the
Yeah, it's like
HD,
$20 or
all
something
that.
like that,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I got the lower version. Give me the cheap version.
Yeah,
That's
no,
why
I
feel
got I
email
gotta get
and
the
stuff like
I
that.
gotta add a 4K version, man. I got a 4K version, a 4K TV about 10 years ago. And so I even though I probably can't see the difference.
No,
I
listen.
gotta
I got a 4K TV too, so I know what you mean. I still tell them,
I don't see the difference, but it gotta say 4K on it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But
yeah. No, I
I don't
feel
know.
you.
I just feel like I don't know. Being born at the time that I was born, I feel like I was born not too early and not too late to where you know what I'm saying, seeing the world before the internet and then seeing the technology come so I can appreciate the world before it, but then but then being able to have conversations to where Big Reg, I don't know where you from. I mean, I don't know where you at right now. You know what I'm saying? Goes, I don't know where you at right now. But I remember, yeah. So but imagine back when we were growing up, if we were on the phone for 2 hours and 50 minutes, how much this phone call cost on or how
They
many
gonna cost the
emergencies?
whole left side of my ass when they get a hold of that phone bill.
My mama will be
right, you know what I'm saying?
Now.
Right, and so it was a pipe dream watching the Jetsons and watching video calls or watching, was it Back to the Future 2 when Marty's character got fired and they were on, he was watching the television screen and having the conversation and all that stuff. Like that stuff seemed like a pipe dream, and that's real now. We got everything except for the flying cars, but to the point
they have one of those too.
Yeah,
they have one of those too. I saw one in Japan. You can look up they got the YouTube video.
I'm gonna look it up, man. I'm gonna look it up.
But and went to fly to work.
Nah, that's crazy, man. But to be able to, we had the golden era of wrestling. I know people don't watch baseball no more, but basically the golden era of baseball. Got a chance to see the back end of Magic, well, basically whole Magic Johnson's career, but too young for the first part of it. Magic back into the Kareem, some of Dr. J, all of Michael Jordan, Shaq, Penny, to LeBron, to Kobe. You know what I'm saying? To watching the NFL go from an afterthought to the biggest sport in America. You know what I'm saying? Remember when Fox was an independent station to now it's one of the biggest stations in the world. Like this is the things that we've seen.
It's crazy.
Are crazy. And so to circle it back to the whole thing that we first talked about, from the X-Men to the animated series to X-Men 97, they've been able to capture the nostalgia by using the newer technology to bring it all together, bro. You can't ask for anything better than that, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know
it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The NFL is the fall for all these sports, right?
Say it again.
The NFL is the fall off for all these sports. We don't have any more black heavyweights that are fighting in boxing. We hardly have any black baseball players. Once the NFL got to where it got to, every black kid I know is playing football.
I don't know if I think the reason why we don't see black heavyweights is not because they're playing football. I blame Lennox Lewis and the Klitschko brothers for that. Because it used to be heavyweights were regular size. Lennox Lewis was what, 6'8", 6'7"?
You know what I'm saying? But Shannon Briggs was 6'5".
He was bigger than everybody else. And then the Klitschko brothers, both of them were 7 feet tall. They held the belt for like 10 years. And so now you don't see like heavyweights like I'm not gonna use Tyson, but like normal size heavyweights like Evander Holyfield, and like even though Michael Moore wasn't a great champion, like Michael Moore, like all of them call,
we don't see them. Any guy who's over 6 foot and 185 pounds, you don't see him in boxing. You don't see him in baseball.
Well, another thing too is
you'll see them after their football career fails. if they try to play football and it doesn't work out, then they'll try boxing.
but I
They're
think
not doing it from a young age.
no, well that and the two, but it's one of those things to where it's like who there's easier ways to make money than standing in the
Exactly.
ring and letting the guy hit you in the head. You know what I'm saying?
But
Like people
baseball is
understand.
easier than playing football.
Say that again.
Well, even but
Baseball is
but
easier
you
than
gotta
playing
realize-
football.
No, it's not
So-
easier than playing. It's not easier than playing football. It's
less abusive.
well, easier on the body, yeah. But it's baseball's. It's I grew up playing
So-
baseball, and
My mom's
it's a more baseball is the more is other than golf is the most skilled specialized game that there is. You know what I'm saying?
my mom's
Like, you had to-
friend. My mom's friend is if you ever heard of Andrew Council, he fought Bernard Hopkins once for the world title in DC.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a gym. It ain't about, oh, I'm gonna turn everybody into a heavyweight or world title boxer. But he tries to get kids in the gym. He's like, nah, I'm gonna go play football or basketball. Like, I'm not like he's not even like go pro like this.
That's a
Every
popularity
kid is
thing
just
now.
basketball, football. That's it. They won't even.
I agree.
He's
It's a
like,
popularity thing.
Well, that's
That's what I'm
part. That's part. Like if I mean even I have a son, man. You know what I'm saying? I grew up. I played every sport. You know what I'm saying? Baseball probably was my best sport. Basketball is the sport I played the longest because I hurt my shoulder. You know what I'm saying? But my wife is a physician. She does not want. You know, my son's only he about to be 9 months. She do not want him playing football. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things to where it's like anything that has to deal with somebody you knowingly hit yourself upside the head, man. If you come from any kind of that's not necessarily true because half the league now it ain't poor kids like it used to be. Most of these guys come from pretty good families because you gotta have the money to be able to train and all that stuff. But with the specialized training, but now I don't honestly. Part of it I do believe is popularity. Part of it is fear of injury. But even still, if there's nothing more popular than a heavyweight fight, you can make more money. That's not true anymore either. No, that is true. You have to be at the top of the game to make that much money though. Like Floyd was making
to make more money in one fight.
Yeah,
than in a year of football, or
But yeah, but the
contract.
But the big time fighters, the ones who are, but they're like the top 1% of 1%. Like guys like how Ryan Garcia and is now, and like Floyd Mayweather, those guys are making 150 million when you add in the pay-per-view and all that stuff, and if they get part of the gate. But that's not everybody though. You know what I'm saying? So slowly but surely, sports are starting to catch up to where boxing. Now, boxing used to be nobody was making that type of money. Like when Tyson made $25 million in '88 to fight, I can't remember who he fought. It was before the Douglas fight. But when pay-per-view was $60 back in the '80s, and people was paying it, you know what I'm saying? Only imagine how much money that is. Yeah, boxers are making the most money, but now the other sports have even the sports have caught up and passed baseball. Well, they did until Ohtani got his money, but they caught up and passed baseball for a while because A-Rod made $25 million back in 98, 99.
Yeah,
they gave him that 10-year, $250 million contract, and for a while guys weren't getting it until Trout got his money, and then Ohtani got what, $70 million a year, $60 million a year. That's crazy, man. Where the money is. So
that's good money. That's good money.
Pitcher and batter. He's the first real triple threat on the mound since.
I would disagree that he's the first. I think he's the first one to get the opportunity because I was having this conversation with Coach not too long ago. Do you remember Dwight Gooden?
Yeah.
Dwight Gooden is from Tampa. I believe if Dwight Gooden would have had the same opportunity to hit and pitch, He could not to the he wouldn't be hitting 40 home runs a year like Ohtani is. But there are guys that probably could have hit and pitch at the same time.
Yeah,
Mike Hampton.
there's some guys who could hit and pitch at the same time, but
Didn't
there's never
Ohtani
been a
hit,
guy.
like-
There's never been a pitcher that you would put as your DH.
No,
on
that's
his
what
non-pitching
that's what I'm saying, because they've never been given the opportunity. Like even Mike Hampton was a pitcher for the Colorado Rockies and for the Mets and for the Astros. He had 10 home runs as a hitter in one season. Rick Ankiel was I don't know if you ever heard of him. He was the young guy. He played with the Cardinals back in the late 90s and in 2000s. Where he lost his control, where he couldn't throw the ball over the plate. And so he went back and became an outfielder. You know what I'm saying? So you're right that nobody's ever done it, but I think there were guys that probably could have did it. They were just never given the opportunity. There's a guy, Tim Hudson. He was a pitcher for the Braves. Dude hit 30 home runs when he was in college. But the idea was that we're either going to use you as a pitcher or we're going to use you as a hitter. We're not going to use you as both. So if Ohtani was not Japanese and did not make it part of his contract to be able to do both, we probably wouldn't see him doing both. But the fact that he came from another country was all the reason why they gave him the opportunity to be able to do both. I think there's guys that
hit 500-foot home runs though.
I think
Crazy.
also he's in the AL where their pitch, when they play interleague play and he has the bat, and they saw when he has the bat, this motherfucker can really bat.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they actually, because at first they didn't let him DH.
I remember. Yeah, he it's like when he first started, he pitched more than he hit. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until the year that he got hurt and he couldn't do anything but hit. They actually let him hit. They were a lot more cautious so he wouldn't get hurt, but he done got hurt pitching twice. So he probably won't be pitching too much longer, especially if he keeps hitting the way he hits. If he keeps getting hurt pitching, they probably won't let him pitch anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he's hitting
he's
hitting 500+ foot home runs.
But I don't know if you remember there was a guy, Josh Hamilton. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you ever heard of him. He was on. So he was drafted number 1 the year that I came out of high school. He was called the Natural. Dude was throwing 95 from the left side while he was hitting 500-foot home runs in high school. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying. There's guys that probably could have done both. They would just never give an opportunity to do both because they was like, either we want you like, oh, your bat's too good, you're gonna hit, or your arm's too good, we want you to pitch. Which one can you get to the major leagues fast enough to do both? That's why I said with Ohtani, if Ohtani came from if he was American and wasn't major league ready to do both at one time, we probably wouldn't see him do one of them. You know what I'm saying? So what happens in America is that maybe the guy's arm might be ahead of his bat. So we need an arm, we're going to call him up to the big leagues as a pitcher. Or his bat is ahead of his arm. We need a bat. We're going to find somewhere to put him in the field. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's similar to nowadays. We'll never see anybody play 2 sports like we saw Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson do, and what Brian Jordan did for a little bit. The reason why is because coaches are so narcissistic, they're not going to allow you to do both, especially football coaches. Football coaches are most narcissistic people ever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because Russell Wilson was a 3-year starter for NC State, and the coach who wanted to move on to I don't know if y'all remember the quarterback Mike Glennon, the best, the Lincoln Park All-Star. He ran Russell Wilson away from NC State to go away because he told him that you can't go to spring training. It's either you gonna come here and play spring football or we're gonna move on to this younger guy. And he ended up trying to play in the summer, ended up going to Wisconsin, and the rest is history. I believe that's why coaches, we get in our own way. That's why of greatness is why we don't see guys doing different things. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Yeah. Coaches try to preserve players for their future success.
Well, coaches only care about their most coaches only care about trying to keep their job.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm
For their own future
saying?
success. They're
Yeah,
trying
they
to
don't
They're
care
legacy
about
like Professor
their own
X.
future success.
it all comes back full circle. It all comes back full circle, man. You know what I'm
Unless
saying?
you're
So,
John Harbaugh.
Look,
oh,
Reg,
don't even
Reg
start,
didn't
man.
Reg didn't hear that one because he'd have been all over it.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a the whole Harbaugh thing is a
Trying to
it's a catch 22, man, because
Well,
on the
Professor
one hand, Lamar saved his job. You know what I'm saying? But on the
and
other
now he's
hand,
holding Lamar back.
that's true. But I'm even going back to Lamar's rookie year. Harbaugh should have replaced Lamar in that wild card game if he really wanted to win the game. But he did the best thing for Lamar going forward, because he knew if he brought in Flacco and they would have come back and won that game, which y'all should have won that game. You know what I'm saying? There's no way he could have went back to Lamar.
So
It would have been a quarterback controversy. Lamar,
I agree with that. I agree
Yeah.
with that 100%.
yeah, and so it's one of those things to where, and on the one sense, Harbaugh did the right thing, and in two, it was a good thing for Lamar, even to this day, for Harbaugh to be brought back in 2019. Because if they would have brought another coach in 2019, there's no telling if Lamar would have been the quarterback. Because as good as he played to get you guys to win the division, he didn't play well enough the way most traditional quarterbacks want to you for another coach to come in who did not draft him.
Yeah, no, I
To
know.
be like, this the guy that I'm going by. Now, he did hold him back after that when he showed in 2019. So in 2019, they should have brought in more talent around him. For me, I'm biased. I love Michael Vick, Steve McNair, Randall Cunningham, all quarterbacks like that. I think you could always win with quarterbacks like that. But most coaches in the NFL only know how to win one way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
They
they're
don't
always
find those quarterbacks with talent either.
no, they don't. Because most coaches don't know how to develop talent. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for archetypes. So there was a point where everybody was looking for the next John Elway, and every quarterback had to look like John Elway.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a point. So okay, we missed out on John Elway, so we keep trying to find the next John Elway. Peyton Manning comes along. Now we're trying to find the next Peyton Manning. Oh, we missed on Tom Brady. Now we're trying to find the next Tom Brady. You know, and there's so many guys who fell through the crack, who didn't get a chance. And I'll argue this point to this day. Everybody talks about quote unquote running quarterbacks and how you can't win with running quarterbacks. There have been more bust quarterbacks who have been pocket quarterbacks
Yes.
than bust quarterbacks who have been quote unquote running quarterbacks.
Yes.
And I will die on that hill. You know what I'm saying? Now, whether guys have a quote unquote prolonged career, that's not the argument. You know what I'm saying? But more quarterbacks are hurt inside the pocket than they are running. You know what I'm saying?
You know what would have been a phenomenal. I say this, and I've always said it. If given the opportunity with the right coaching, Vince Young would have been a phenomenal quarterback. He could wing it from the pocket like it was nobody's business. But he got in the NFL, and Jeff Fisher and them did not want him using his legs. They led to injury and everything else.
He didn't want him. He that was the ownership thing. Jeff Fisher did not want Vince Young, and he ruined him. But he's not even on. I mean, that happens a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Like Jeff Fisher ruins everybody.
Well, that's true. He's the for whatever. I don't know how he lasted for 20 years as an NFL coach with I think he had a 500 record
there,
or right below 500 record. But even the way he handled Steve McNair was terrible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was terrible. But Steve McNair got him to the Super Bowl.
They didn't play him his first 2 years in the league. They were putting stuff out there that he wasn't smart. He couldn't learn it. Like they were saying all kind of bad stuff about Steve McNair. And I don't know if you guys have seen. So I was a big, like I said, when I was diehard when I was in sports. So I would watch. I would essentially watch football from Thursday night college football to Friday, all day Saturday, all the games, even the West Coast games, to the NFL games. You know what I'm saying? And I remember them broadcasting those Alcorn games with Steve McNair. They used to be on ESPN too. And the dude, and I remember them doing the it was to the point, I think his junior year, to where they started cover. That's when they started covering him, and all the yards he was putting up. If you put Steve in there right out of Alcorn in today's NFL, with today's NFL offices and offensive minds, he'd be unstoppable. He'd have been unstoppable, literally. He could run. He could literally do everything on the football field. He would essentially be a more souped up. He's a faster version of Jalen Hurts with a better arm.
Yeah.
When I say Jalen Hurts, because of their body types are similar, not the way they play, but their body types are similar. You know what I'm saying? I think Michael Vick was before his time. I don't think he's as good a passer as developed passer as Lamar was. But imagine if instead of the Eagles drafting Donovan McNabb, they were sorry a year later and they drafted Mike Vick #1 overall. And Mike Vick was under Andy Reid's tutelage his whole career, not just in 2010, 2011.
That'd been different. He would have had a couple rings.
You know what I'm saying?
So Andy Reid. He'd have had a couple rings.
So it's just one of those things, man. It's just, I don't know. We grew up in the golden era time, man. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that these kids aren't seeing what they're seeing, but be able to see these transitions from technology and how acting has gotten better, athletes have gotten better, writing hasn't gotten better, but you know what I mean. But everything else, I think it's pretty cool, man. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, man. Y'all heard it here, man. We're in a golden era, golden age where we got to see it all. We were before the internet, during the internet. You know, we're gonna watch it fade out if we have to, but we had the best time. Like, we had the best time. We went from, you know, you had the only way you could communicate was walking down the street to your friend's house, to now, like you said, we're online thousands of miles away.
Literally.
Being able to have a conversation.
Literally.
Yeah.
With good internet.
Yeah.
Not somebody calling and then the internet go out.
Yeah. Like, I remember that too. You had to, phone call come. Oh, whole internet shut down. That dial was crazy.
Or you trying to download a song overnight.
Yep.
From LimeWire or Napster or wherever.
Yep.
I didn't use Napster. I used LimeWire. You know what I'm saying?
Pick up and see, this song failed, and this song failed. God damn.
Yeah.
But you know, I didn't know. It's one of those things where I didn't know the product X-Men existed. The reason why I knew product X-Men existed was because we didn't have high speed internet at my parents' house when I was when I first started in school. They had it at the college I was going to before I went to Morehouse. And back then they didn't block out. Now they block out peer-to-peer sharing on college campuses. They didn't do it during that time. So the guys in the computer lab were the ones who put me on to being able to download all the different things, different episodes, or burn CDs. So that's how I got caught up, because I didn't watch the X-Men animated series during the first run, because by the time it got to 95, 96, 97, I wasn't watching that stuff anymore. I was in high school. And so that's how I was able to catch up and watch all the older episodes, because we had that technology and be able to catch up on all of that stuff, man. So now it's going for a circle. It's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, we have successfully done a 3-hour show. Right? Amazing show.
With the shorts.
I'm going to chop it up into shorts, as many as shorts as I can. It's going to take me a while to go through it. The AI one, I'll talk to you about it off camera, but it doesn't work for me. So I go through and manually chop these up into shorts.
Oh wow!
But yeah, but it's been a great show.
Did you hit record in your yard so that it'll download
it
and
has
then
it
you can actually
recorded.
chop it up in the yard?
Yeah, it has it recorded. It has it recorded. But I still I don't have. I'll get more into it off stream, but I'm not on. Yeah, but fellas, DDSQ, thank you again for coming on the show. Ghost, again, having you again. Well, as always, thank you, sir. DDSQ, you want to let the people know where they can find you?
Well, you can find me on nothing because, now you can find me on, I'm on X, DDSQ. I'm on IG, DDSQ. Not on YouTube or anything like that. You'll see me on the chat sessions with I'll be in your streams going forward, Big Reg. You'll see me on the chat session with Coach Evans and the round table and everything he has. Same thing with Hendo and his shows, and same thing with LBHTQ crew. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be more active on the chats, and maybe one of these days we can get a chance chop it up on here again. And hopefully I won't be running my mouth the whole time to it won't end up being a 3-hour stream.
Hey, like I said, I welcome it because I need the streaming hours anyway.
I
Right?
got
So I welcome it.
Yeah, I got
It feels good to get on the stream and not be the only one talking.
I got you. And
So I love it. I absolutely love it.
What I say?
What I do is
I'm trying to say you don't show up often, Mr. Ghost. You've been letting me down lately, sir.
Look, you see this puppy over here? I had to drive back from Frederick, a 57-minute drive with a puppy and a goddamn bearded dragon. I only arrived. I took the puppy. Somehow I came back with a dragon too.
Oh wow. That's what's up. I'll DM you my name and all that stuff. I don't put my name on these streams and stuff like that. Yeah, so that way people can't try to, because when you're licensed in the healthcare field, all your stuff is public knowledge, and then they'll start looking for stuff, and who knows, I might run for public office. I don't need nobody trying to dig into my background and try to find some outlandish stuff.
Trust me, I got you.
I hit you in the DMs offline, man. You know what I'm saying? And we'll go from there. I appreciate this. I enjoyed it. I stayed on here longer than I thought I would, but I enjoyed every second of it. Appreciate you letting me talk and being able to share different ideas and talk about different shows and different everything, man. Felt like I was catching up with some at the lunchroom table with the homies, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I go for, man. That's what this show's all about. That's what the show's all about. I try not to. I don't want to keep it because I look at certain shows and I'm like, it's very formal, very neat, very nice, well done. But I want to have it. I want it to be like the homies just hanging out. You know what I mean? And that's the vibe I like to have. That's why this man down here is so dangerous when he gets on this show. Some of the stuff that comes out. But I tell him it's cool because that's how I like it. I want people to come in and be like, "Oh man, these dudes cool. They just chilling. Like they're not." And that's exactly what I want.
No, I appreciate it. It's like just like I said, just feel like it's basically having a phone conversation, online, essentially sharing ideas, man. So I appreciate it, man. But yeah, I ain't gonna hold you, man. Appreciate it, man. Like I say, find me on you search this, you find me on Instagram and on Twitter. Yeah, I go in, and one of my favorite things to do right now is to troll Bills fans and Josh Allen stands. That's one of my favorite things. That's one of my favorite things to do.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. Mr. Ghost, where can we find you these days?
The channel. Talking my talk, letting Reg build it up so I could just break it down. That's all.
You still putting out now? I heard you told Miss Yolanda you had 3-4 videos you're working on currently.
Actually, I have 5.
5.
And my VN editor got corrupted, so I lost all the videos. I got to redo them.
Oh no, that sucks.
Luckily, I didn't delete any. I don't delete anything until I upload it to YouTube.
Yeah,
so I still have all the pictures and thumbnails and shit. But yeah, I did 5, and then I don't know what I did or what happened, but the app data got corrupted. So all the stuff I recorded, it was like, yeah, the video's corrupted. Okay.
Yeah, that sucks. So y'all heard my boy. Y'all know he got a channel. Don't listen to him. He got a channel. 86 Ghosts. Go check it out. He does his food reviews. He's a full YouTuber, so please go check him out. He also talks his talk, like he said, on his channel as well. And then me, Living Big with Big Reg on X, TikTok, and that's it. I don't really be on Facebook like that. And then your boy Big Reg right here on YouTube. And if you want some merch, my clothing line is Living Big with Big Reg. Please go check it out. Etsy.com/Living Big with Big Reg. Go get you some t-shirts, some hoodies, shorts. I got it all over there on the website. Go check it out. And more merch to come soon. I got to get back to my editing and stuff and fixing my fixing my gear that I'm putting out. But I got more stuff coming soon. Keep your eyes out for that. And yeah, it was a great show. I thank you fellas again for joining me. People that came through, watched it live, everybody that's going to watch it after the fact on replay, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I love y'all. We all family here. And y'all stay blessed. Peace.
Peace.